Good evening, everybody. We are live tonight from the Rex Express Studios for another edition of the Around the Ropes podcast. As always, you know my tag team partner. He will be doing the ring announcing this coming Saturday for the Wrestling Showcase out in New Jersey, which you can see live on the Premier Streaming Network. We'll get to that in a few moments. The one, the only, and also if you live in the state of Pennsylvania, you know Dave Minutes, so you can help with that as well. The one, the only, Ryan Peterson. What's going on?
Wow, look who's kissing my ass now. Let me start things off. So, it was about 24, maybe 48 hours ago. A certain interview dropped on the new ATR network with Mr. Pete Rosado. I have a bone to pick with this schlep to your left, my right. Because this guy threw it out there saying, I asked Ryan if he wanted to come on and he was too tired. Pretty much making me look like a fucking weakling in the interview with Pete Rosado, not Rosario, Papa Dank. And again, another case of John undermining his co-host because it doesn't involve him. So, John, how you doing, buddy?
Oh, I'm doing splendid. And yes, by the way, folks, like Ryan said, we just had a few interviews drop with Pete Rosado, not Rosario, with ISPW ring announcer Rich Reed, weeks ahead of his debut match against Maven.
Oh, God.
And also one half of Power Supply, Adam Stone, hopped on, as was just announced. He's going to be in a fatal four-way at the Immortal Show on September 16th, taking on his favorite foes, the Sons of Allah. Or as some people on the show think, my favorite tag team of all time.
Oh, of course. Which by the way, for that night, I'm gonna see if I can find a way to get John sponsored by Dick's. Because Dick's Sporting Goods, you can get your jerseys, your football gear. And speaking of football gear, one of the things that sometimes wrestlers use are knee pads. And I know damn well John definitely needs a few pair of those, especially when he's on his knees cheering for the Sons of Allah, Allahu Akbar. Because you know John is consistently on his knees for the Sons of Allah. And Garrett Holiday, if you're listening, he still thinks you're the paper champion. Now,
feeling better?
I'm just getting warmed up.
Oh boy. Well, guys, we do have a lot to get to tonight because I don't think there's anything big happening in wrestling the last couple of days.
Nope. So thank you guys for tuning in. And and John, go fuck yourself. Good night, everybody.
No, guys, unfortunately, we do have some stuff to get into.
Crap!
And we're going to get into All Out. We'll get into Payback later on. But the bigger story I want to get to right now is the firing of CM Punk.
Sorry.
In case you're a wrestling fan and you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, if you remember back at All In, back at the end of August, during the match between Jungle Boy, Jack Perry, because he's not Jungle Boy anymore, and Hook, Jack made some sort of reference to, oh, look, it's real glass. And it kind of pissed off old Phil Brooks there. And supposedly, and again, folks, neither myself nor Ryan were there, so we don't know for certain what happened. We're just going off of reports that were put out there by guys like Sean Ross Sapp, Wade Keller, and Dave Meltzer.
They weren't there.
But that's who anybody's going off of, is those reports. And apparently it got so bad that supposedly Punk threatened Tony Khan. And basically it was a week-long investigation. Both guys got suspended. And ultimately the result came out, I think, Saturday, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
Where they announced that Punk had been terminated, but Jack Perry is still suspended. When you first heard the news, Ryan, what was your thoughts?
You go first. I'm chewing. You go first.
Okay. Well, my thoughts was, I'm not surprised. The guy is an egotistical maniac who I think needs a lot of psychiatric help. Because in some aspects, he comes off like a bully. Because where I know a lot of people were pointing the finger at Punk for what he did, I am one of those people, but I'm also pointing the finger at Jack Perry. And I say that because I get the fact you're trying to be a heel. And I know we talk about, that there's no true heels anymore in professional wrestling. And Jack is trying to become, in essence, what Christian is, a true heel. And where I point the blame at Jack is on the biggest stage. Now, I know for that, it was the biggest stage, the biggest crowd he'd ever worked in front of. And I understand you're trying to get yourself heat. And I understand that. But that's not the time and the place to do that. And the problem is, there's nobody in that locker room who will go up to Jack Perry and tell him, look, you don't say that. Because the problem is, the first person who, 90% from what I've heard, the first person who they see when they go through Gorilla is Tony Khan. And Tony Khan's going to sit there and say, oh, great job, thank you, good night. Then if you're an agent, if you're a Billy Gunn, a Dean Malenko, you have no legs to stand on then. And that's why, to me, I agree about firing Punk, because I think Punk is an absolute cancer no matter what locker room he's in. And I understand Jack Perry right now is suspended. But I think he should be suspended without pay. You gotta do something severe here. Because the problem is, you don't do anything severe, you just suspend him and have him come back like nothing happened. Who's to say he doesn't do this shit again? And makes that locker room more of a goddamn joke than it is already? If I'm, whenever they bring back Jack, either Closer to Revolution or, Closer to Wrestling Dream happened in October, I would pull him aside. If I'm Tony Khan, I tell him, look, you really fucked up out there. We're giving you one more shot. You screw up again, you're out of AEW. Because then you're going to send a message to the locker room saying, okay, we're not going to put up with this bullshit anymore. Because if you don't, it's the old saying, the inmates run the asylum. And that's what it feels like with Tony Khan. Is that he's letting the inmates run everything. He doesn't have a backbone in his body to turn around and go, guys, we are becoming one of the bigger companies. I mean, the fact that you had a show like All In that 5 years ago, it was 5 years, Ryan, right? Since the last All In.
Mm-hmm.
And they sold out, I think it's called the Now Arena in Chicago. I think
back
that
then
was
it was the Sears Center.
The Sears Center, okay, my bad.
That's what it was back then, so that's what I'm going with.
But in 5 years, they now went all the way to selling out Wembley Stadium, which is one of the biggest stadiums in the world. So they're making strides that most companies never see. And that WCW never pulled that off, but they did. Impact Wrestling, correct me if I'm wrong on this. Impact Wrestling never pulled off 80-something thousand people at Wembley Stadium.
I think the most they ever did was like a quarter of the Alamo Dome.
Yeah. So if I'm Tony Khan, I have to grow a fucking backbone at this point. Because if not, believe me, as a wrestling fan, I don't want to see a company go under. But the more he allows the inmates to run the damn asylum, that's what's going to end up happening. And the biggest thing I will say, and then Ryan, I'll let you go with what you want to say, he has to book his shows not as a fan. He has to book his shows like a goddamn promoter. Go ahead, Ryan.
Okay, so first of all, I agree Punk getting fired was the best move. I think it's freaking hilarious that they did it in his hometown. Ironically, in the same building that he returned to a couple of years prior.
Yeah, wasn't it like 2 years ago he returned?
Yeah, it was 2 years. But the reason why they did that, they didn't worry
Mm-hmm.
about paying for a flight home. He lived right out the block.
Exactly.
What?
No, I agree with you. The
whole thing with Jack Perry being, I don't know. Honestly, I think him being suspended, it could be just to save face. It could be to save face, because maybe Jack felt like absolute shit and whatnot, and Tony Khan, with how he responded and whatnot, maybe he pulled Jack aside and said, hey, look, this happened. Unfortunately, the news is picking up everywhere. So you know what? Just to save face, we're gonna suspend you. That way, people won't be breathing on our necks, going, how come Punk got fired, but Jack Perry gets it off easy. All right, that's how I see it and whatnot. And also, as you say, Tony Khan booking from a not from a fan's perspective, but from a promoter's perspective. Aren't promoters technically fans?
Yes, I agree. Maybe I should have rephrased what I was trying to say.
Because
he should.
And I will say, because I will say this, the way that Tony Khan has been booking, the shows as of late, is what the fans actually want to see. And that's where, the viewership comes in. Granted, everyone's saying like, oh, they can't break 1 million. Who the fuck cares? I've said this before numerous times. The ratings don't fucking matter nowadays. They matter back in the 90s because YouTube wasn't invented. Streaming services weren't invented. Hell, the internet was still barely new. Whereas nowadays, it's everything but cable and shit. You have Roku. We have Roku, Netflix, Hulu, Mobfi TV, Fight TV. So many streaming networks out there. Bleacher Report. There's another one. And they're all sitting there going like, well, they didn't draw over 1 million. Like, no, because also some people who watch it aren't even awake at fucking 8 o'clock at night. Some people actually might be in bed early enough, but they can watch it later on down the road.
I guess what I was trying to say before about with Tony Khan is not so much like a fan, but not okay. Do you remember growing up? We used to have the wrestling figures that they never moved. You kind of, like if you had the Hogan, he went like this. They kind of stood there.
Mm-hmm.
And you always used to sit there and go, okay, I'm going to take this guy and put them together and boom, you have a match. Or, okay, here's a better example, because that example made me feel very old. With WWE 2K, when you have the My Universe, I feel like that's how Tony is booking his shows. I've said this for a while now. There was no reason why you needed to have All Out this past weekend. No. There was no reason. But I understand what Tony's mentality is. Chicago's the hometown, this, that, and nothing. But it's funny. somebody made a valid point. I was listening to Busted Open. Do you realize Tony Khan and AEW have been in Chicago at least 15, 20 times since they started?
God, that much?
Think about it. They're there every Wednesday night before Thanksgiving.
Yep.
They're there for All Out. They're there for the the week leading up to All Out. And then there's a couple of other times. But I think the problem is, I think you can't keep relying on Chicago, because I don't think I can say this. I think they're burning out the Chicago territory big time. There's other markets where they could have done All Out. Hell, you want to go a step further? Right, I actually want to tell you this idea. Would it have been so bad for them with Collision? Instead of calling it Collision, call it All Out?
I don't think that was Tony Khan's decision.
Well, I know they said that the reason why they called it All Out was that All In was under the banner of Ring of Honor.
Yeah, but now that he bought Ring of Honor.
So to me, with what you just said, that he bought Ring of Honor, you don't need to have All Out. You can be in. You don't have to be out.
But also, like you were saying about the market and everything. Oh, let me finish the CM Punk Jack Perry shit.
Yeah.
I liked Punk when he, first started his Ring of Honor run.
Mm-hmm.
He was somewhat decent in WWE. And that could be controversial to some. I think the way that he left WWE in the first place, parts of it I understand, and part of it was like, really, that's how you're gonna act? And then, of course, when he came back to AEW, of course, in Chicago, of all fucking places, a team who has a baseball team who took 106 years to win a fucking World Series. And I've been choking ever since. And apparently a White Sox team that's probably looking to leave Chicago. Oh yeah, and also the Chicago Bears who are looking to leave Chicago. Sorry, got off track there. I don't know where the fuck I was going with that.
Go right ahead.
Oh yeah, Punk coming back to Chicago. Of course he did. I kind of liked what he was doing until they put him in the title picture.
What do you mean?
That's where it ruined it for me. Because I loved his match with Darby, loved his match with Kingston, but then they put him in that title match at Double or Nothing. I'm like, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the way they booked him, they unfortunately. I think with Punk, they were hoping that he was going to bring in the viewers and the numbers, and he never did.
Well, he brought the eyes on it, but for the wrong reasons.
I completely agree with you. But now, let me ask you this now.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think, because I know there's been a lot of talking about him coming back to the WWE.
No. Mm-mm.
Do you think do you think in 2023 or 2024 we see CM Punk in any wrestling company?
If I do, then I quit wrestling at that point. And I'm saying that live on the air. If CM Punk returns, I quit.
I'm in 100% agreement with you. I don't want to see him back in WWE. I don't want to see him back in. Obviously, we know he's not coming back to AEW. That's obvious at this point. And because I know there's been a lot of talk about, he'll go to Impact Wrestling.
They don't have the budget for him.
A, they don't have the budget for him, and B, half the guys in that locker room. You put CM Punk in that locker room. You're going to have an all out. You think the brawl the issue he had at All In was bad? You put him in the same locker room with a Bully Ray, a PCO,
Moose,
huh?
Moose, Eddie Edwards.
Yeah, you're going to have a problem on your hand.
Trying to think who else. Oh yeah, Josh Alexander, Chris Sabin. Oh, then again, maybe not on that one.
Well, I could see both sides of it though. I don't want him back, trust me, but I can see why people are saying Impact because they have the leaders in that locker room who would not put up with his shit.
Nope.
But to me, it's, and I know people can say, oh, but what about GCW or any of those? No, I don't want to see him back in any company.
I don't think they can afford him.
No. We actually do have a comment coming in here from our buddy, Mr. Costa.
Yes.
Who chimes in on a comment section. It goes, man, they did that to CM Punk on purpose. They gave him a Saturday show when WWE pay-per-views are on Saturday. Costa, I
agree.
Yes, I agree too. But as far, because I know there's this other theory going out there that it wasn't Tony Khan who released Punk, that it was who was it? The head legal aide, I think it was.
You mean someone with brain cells?
No, because, and I have to mention before I go further, this is not my theory. This is Jim Cornette's theory. So that should just leave it right there.
Oh, God.
That supposedly he put out a claim that the head of legal for the Jacksonville Jaguars, who's also the head of legal for AEW, are good friends with the Bucks. I personally think that is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Honestly, if I had to commend anybody for all this, I commend Tony Khan. Big time.
He finally got off the high horse.
Exactly. He got off the high horse. And not only that, he also I know we always make this joke, but he found his other nut. Let me put it that way. I know it's perverted the way I said it, but it's the only way I can say it. But now comes the interesting question now. Is the problem really gone? What I mean by that is this. I know they've got Punk out of there, and I commend them for that big time. But does AEW have a bigger problem on their hands now?
Right now, I don't think so.
And Costa also
that's what transpired at All Out? No.
Costa chimes in and goes, Punk will be in WWE anytime from November till WrestleMania. I know, Costa, that's been the big talk right now because Survivor Series is in Chicago, that it's going to be Punk and that they're going to have Punk have it. Somebody put out this thing that if WWE wants to bring back Punk, they should bring him back on a 6-month contract that has it run from Survivor Series straight through till Mania. Because in essence, then what they're saying it would set up is you would have Cody and Roman on night 2, and you would have Punk and Rollins on night 1. So they can both finish their story. But again, I don't want Punk in WWE.
Doesn't the guy who is head of creative don't like him?
Well, supposedly I've read something that supposedly if they want him back, that it's not up to Vince, because apparently Vince has other projects he's dealing with. Translation: trying to save his ass from the feds after they issued a subpoena on him a couple of months ago, but nobody talks about that.
About what?
That's exactly. That supposedly it ultimately comes down to Nick Khan making the decision.
Oh, God.
Again, you put him, I mean, granted, yeah, you said it before. Punk in the early days was incredible. His early Ring of Honor days, he was fantastic. But when he left WWE, and then he decided to try the UFC route.
Oh, you mean the one that no one ever talks about anymore?
Yeah. He becomes a problem. And at this point, wrestling is in such a boom right now. And is in such a... Yeah, I guess boom would probably be the best way to put it.
It's having the renaissance boom right now.
Exactly. That you put Punk in WWE, I think it would destroy whatever they have going right now.
Oh, yes.
Because Punk makes it about him. And I think, and I know he probably won't hear what I'm saying, but I really think he needs to just float away and fall into obscurity at this point.
Go back to writing your comic books that no one ever sold.
Yeah. At this point, anybody, okay, I'm going to put it out there right now to anybody who's watching. I know Costa gave his. If anybody else thinks Punk to WWE is a good idea, leave it in the comments below. We got another comment coming in here from our friend Steve Jordan, who says it will implode and it'll ruin the entire.
Yeah, I agree.
I completely agree. But that's what we're trying to say. Punk in wrestling is not good. I don't care what company you put him in. You could think of even some of the worst indie companies, and I wouldn't even put him in those. Like, I'll put it this way. You know how they always say, there's certain people who should never be in wrestling again?
Mm-hmm.
He's one of them.
Oh, yeah.
He's definitely one of them. But now, moving things over here for a second, on the side of Jack Perry, do you agree with my thing about how, and like I said, I understand he's suspended right now, but do you agree, though, on the aspect that he should be suspended without pay?
Only if he doesn't take full responsibility. If he did, but like I said, they may have done and said that just to save face.
Yeah,
so that part we really don't know. I can understand if it actually is true and whatnot.
Not to cut you off there,
Steve is correct.
Yeah, he's a crybaby because he makes a big bull stink on how things.
Not Steve. John, you don't have to read the entire thing. We all know what it says.
Yeah. But I think that's my hope. But yeah, let's go back to Jack Perry here for a second.
Again, like I said, if he admitted responsibility and is not taking it, if he admitted it, or he felt really bad and whatnot, just try to that'll be Bush League if they suspended him even though he knew he fucked up. But if he didn't, then I can understand.
And that's kind of my whole thing on this. And I agree with you. If he turns around and, next time he's back in AEW, if he turns around to Tony Khan and says, "Look, Tony, I fucked up. I shouldn't have said that,"
He probably did that automatically.
Then I'm not going to be so strung high on him getting suspended without pay. But if he's going to walk back into there and say, "Oh, I did nothing wrong. I don't know why you guys got mad at me," yada yada yada, then I turn around and go, "You know what? Then I would suspend him without pay." Because then not only does that teach him a lesson, but it teaches everybody else in that locker room a lesson, where you get any of those people who will turn around and say, who will know, okay, we can't fuck up here anymore for that reason. We got some more comments coming in here. God, I can't even see right now. My glasses are getting so freaking foggy.
Okay, if Jack Perry did it, then yes. Other than that, no. Thank you, Steve. That's exactly what I was trying to get at.
We got a comment coming in from Archie, and I know we're not talking about Payback yet, but I have to pull this up because it's actually kind of funny.
Moving on.
I'm sorry, it was funny.
Moving on.
But yeah, but as far as Jack Perry, I think that's kind of my way of looking at it. But now, where does this lead Collision? Oh, that's the big question.
They kind of already have their new faces, if you think about it.
Well, yeah, isn't it Jungle Boy? Not
Nope.
Jungle. No, Jay White.
Switchblade.
I noticed that when they put out the new poster.
I'm okay with it.
And I think from what I read, also supposedly they're going to have Brian Danielson. I think help more behind the scenes because if you recall at All Out when they had the media scrum,
he was already doing behind the scenes stuff with Collision.
But they said not only him, but they said Moxley, Claudio, and Wheeler. I think also going to be. I think he made a comment. I could be wrong on it. Somebody who's watching, please tell me if I'm wrong on this. But I think he made some sort of comment that Blackpool Combat Club will help both on the camera and behind the scenes as well.
Interesting. But, that's our thought on Jack Perry and CM Punk. Now let's move on to real wrestling. First of all, I actually want to point out that tonight on NXT starts the Global Heritage Invitational.
Yeah, what is that exactly?
So it's their version. It's pretty much their version of G1 Climax, but instead of 32 competitors, there's 8. It's round robin matches, and it goes through the live events too. By the way, not just NXT.
Oh, okay.
And the winner, where there's four in each bracket. There's Group A and Group B. And then the winner of Group A will face the winner of Group B, and the winner of that will go on to NXT No Mercy on Saturday, September 30th, and take on Noam Dar for the NXT Heritage Cup. So,
and who's in it, by the way?
So, in Group A, we have Axiom, Tyler Bate, Charlie Dempsey, and Butch.
Okay.
And in Group B, we have I had the bottom one. Hold on a second. Hold on 1 second. Group B. Yes. Duke Hudson, Akira Tozawa, Joe Coffey, and the previous holder of the NXT Heritage Cup, Nathan Frazier.
I'm just gonna say it right now. I'm glad they're doing something with Akira Tozawa.
Yeah, right.
But
all in all, this tournament, it's pretty damn solid.
Yeah.
By the way, the finals of that tournament will take place on September 26th, the Tuesday before No Mercy.
Yeah, that would make sense and why they're not just going to wait for TV. They're doing it at live events too, and
yeah, because when they do NXT live in Florida.
Yeah, because they have what, 3 weeks.
Yeah, but I love the fact that they're pulling in Butch.
I wonder if that's because if you notice on the main roster, they really haven't used the Brawling Brutes that much.
No.
I wonder if that's their way of saying, okay, we're going to not separate them completely, but sort of have it where Butch is doing his own thing. Ridge Holland is, not injuring somebody else.
I think also it's, the NXT Heritage Cup, it's more of an international feel, and there's really no one in NXT besides the ones that I mentioned. No one that's actually hell, they're bringing in Akira Tozawa back in.
Well, that's the one thing I like with what they're doing with NXT is they're bringing in these guys who, if they're not being used on Raw or SmackDown, but they can be used in NXT, they're using them in NXT.
Baron Corbin, for example, look at him.
Or how about Mustafa Ali?
For a while, they had that's okay. Hold on, they're actually explaining the rules on the Heritage Cup Invitational.
Okay.
So a win is 2 points. Obviously, a loss is 0 points, and then each match is 12 minutes.
Okay, so that's their way of trying to speed things up a bit. Then.
Well, not only that. If they draw, it's 1 point.
Okay. So it's basically, you said it before, it's like the G1, but off of Wish.com.
Well, I mean, look who's running NXT, though.
Yeah. It's isn't it just Sean right now?
I think so.
Yeah, which that makes sense.
Well, yeah, because he actually wrestles. Well, he actually is, a wrestler.
No, go ahead.
But off of okay. Out of all the names that I mentioned, I'm throwing you. Who are your top ones to watch in this invitational?
Run them through with me again one more time.
Group A. Excuse me. Group A: Butch, Tyler Bates, Axiom, and Charlie Dempsey. Group B: Nathan Frazier, Akira Tozawa, Duke Hudson, and Joe Coffey.
I would say out of the ones you mentioned, I would say give me Butch, give me
Really?
Tyler Bate. I say that because they've been to the top of the top. Butch, if you remember, when he was, Pete Dunne.
Oh yeah, him and Tyler Bate had a match, which I can't wait for that fucking rematch again.
Oh yeah. I said Nathan Frazier because he has held the Heritage Cup, so he knows what it has to take to get to that point.
But also, you have to watch out for Charlie Dempsey too.
Oh well, I think that's why this is that was a difficult question to ask, because
it's not. Hold on, I'm gonna do in your term. It's not predictable.
No, it's not. And that's what I love about it. Okay, because I'll give you another one. You could have somebody like Akira Tozawa.
Doubt it. Doubt it.
Okay, how about somebody like Duke Hudson?
More relatable. So 7 out of the 8 are more relatable.
Exactly. Guys, we will be joined in about 8 minutes by your current Goddesses of War champion, Marie ValDomiea, who is
someone who I have no idea who the hell they are.
Which I'm just going to say this right now. This is not meant to be a shot at you, Ryan. So don't think it's a shot at you.
But it probably is.
It's not. That was a very big surprise to me.
Well.
We got another comment coming in from Archie, who turned around, and you guys can read on there because for some reason I can't read tonight.
Whoever it is, as long as they beat Noam Dar and get Metaphor off my TV, I'll be happy. I agree. This Metaphor shit is this metaphor. The Metaphor is meta bullshit.
Yeah, I don't even. Maybe I just don't watch NXT that often because it's on while we're live.
Oh, wait a minute, hold on. I'm catching up on last week's NXT also.
While you're doing that, I'm going to do a quick plug for our coffee.
Oh yeah,
folks, if you're interested, we do sell our own coffee. I have been saying this for the longest time. Ryan's been saying this as well. And guys, it smells so freaking good. And guys, if you are interested in a bag of the coffee, you can message us on any of our social media accounts. You can find us on Facebook or on Twitter. We're on Instagram as well. All we ask is you give us your shipping, your zip codes. We can give you proper shipping costs. Again, guys, Around the Ropes Coffee, brought to you by our friends over at Motor Oil Coffee with several locations, including Schenectady, Troy, and Albany.
And actually, I stand corrected. Last week started the Heritage Cup Invitational. So the first matchup was Charlie Dempsey versus Butch, which I think Butch won from what I read.
Let me go.
Yeah, Butch won.
We got another comment coming in from Steve saying, I thought you guys were going to be at Homedale this past Saturday. Steve, unfortunately, Ryan and I both had something that came up in our personal lives, and we were not able to attend. Archie, I wish I could somehow use this for our commercial.
The best part of waking up is resting coffee in your cup by drinking and then feeling Ultimate Warrior. Yeah, The problem with that one is copyright and copyright. And did I mention copyright?
And also, neither one of us can really sing that great.
Excuse me?
Except for you, Ryan. You sing very well.
Thank you.
And we got another comment coming in here. Hey, Raymond, what's going on?
Who that?
Friend of mine.
Wait, hold on. That guy's a friend of yours?
Yes.
I am so sorry for him.
Hey, I'm the Jewish stud muffin.
So let's get back to wrestling.
Oh, God. Oh, Jesus Christ.
What? You get Billy to sing it and pretend you've never heard of Folgers. Oh, God. The best part of waking up is John. Please shut the fuck up. All right.
Okay, I'll tell the quick story right now while waiting for our guest to join.
No.
It'll be a quick story. It'll be story time with John.
You're used to quicks.
In a previous life, I used to be a part of a show called The Nation Show. Oh. And as a joke, I made a comment of if I ever had an in-ring name, I would call myself the Jewish Stud Muffin. And I went with that for like I think it was like 6-7 months. But yeah. So don't worry. If I ever get into a ring, I'm never going to call myself that.
Thank you. If that's the case, if anything, they should call you the Potato Knish. What the hell did I just hear? Merc, you don't want to fucking know. It's not. Thank you, Steve. And by the way, his new nickname now is the Potato Knish.
Oh God, what the hell now?
Good. Okay.
Hold on. Here we go.
They got a mask big enough for his melon-sized head. Oh wait, I know. Hold on. I got his mask. I got his mask.
Oh,
and I'm gonna wear it. There you go.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Again, guys, we do not recommend you put a bag over your head.
What? It's your mask. It's big for your head. It's big for your egotistical brain.
I don't have an ego.
You do have an ego. Okay. Story time, folks. Story time. For those that don't know, I'm actually starting up a musical theater podcast called The Curtain Call. Mark, don't give him any ideas. So anyway, I've been wanting to do this podcast for a long time now, and we filmed the first episode about a month and a half ago. And this guy over here, you know, the esteemed producer was saying, "Oh yeah, it's still in the works, but it's okay because he can, you know, pop up, you know, wrestling interviews left and right, wrestling interview." I said this to John numerous times. If he did not want to, oh hell yeah, baby, there we go. All right.
Thanks, Steve.
So anyway, before I was so rudely interrupted by the Potato Knish over here. And if I get canceled for saying Potato Knish, well, obviously all of your brain cells are just as you know, as the style of a Knish, mush. Now, I've been wanting to do this, you know, trying to release it for a while. But again, he's, you know, throwing out interview after interview. And I keep saying, where's my show? Oh, it's still in the final works. Again, I said this to you before, John, and I'm saying this live on the air with that little red dot in the corner saying live. if you didn't want to do my show in the first place, don't fucking hold me back.
Okay, Ryan, our guest is here right now.
I am so sorry, Marie. Let's bring her in.
Guys, September 16th, Titan and Goddesses present Blaze of Glory, and one of the competitors who will be defending her title is actually somebody who I've been wanting on from Goddesses for the longest time. You can also catch her in Excite Wrestling as well. We'll get into all that. Your current Goddesses of War champion, the one, the only, Marie ValDomiea. Marie, how you doing?
Hi, you guys.
Hi.
All right. How's it going? Are we good here?
Oh, we're good.
Awesome. Okay, so I see that you guys have been working really hard, and I appreciate the chance getting to talk with you guys. And I'm pretty much down for anything. I love answering questions, so just throw them at me.
That's a bad choice of words there, Marie. Bad choice of words.
Oh gosh.
All right, you go first.
So, obviously we ask our guests here all the time, what got you into wrestling?
Oh, I love those questions. Okay. So when I was younger, I would spend a lot of time alone. I was an only child at home. And it wasn't necessarily that I only had boys that lived in my neighborhood that enjoyed wrestling. It was that I enjoyed wrestling, so I started watching it on my own, probably around, I'd say 2000, early 2001, 2000. And I gravitated towards Shawn Michaels a lot. And then when I had gotten older and I started researching a little bit more about that, I really wanted to see them in person, got the chance to see them in Syracuse at a live show, and along with a lot of other people. But that was when he reformed DX, and that's when I really got hooked, and knew it wasn't the same, but your typical little kid. I was a troublemaker. I thought it was grand. Everything that they were doing, I was like, oh yeah. And I grew up with it. But I didn't get to see a lot of the older stuff. That's why I had to go to my media play and go get DVDs.
DVDs? What are those?
Oh yeah, I know now. We stream everything, so pretty much obsolete. But when I did start training, that was a huge way that the guys would learn some stuff, because your trainers tend to have a lot of stuff on DVD. And I mean, I still have my VHS player, so if we're gonna go that far back.
But Marie, now you were saying before how you got into it because of Shawn. Where did you get your training then? I'm assuming from one of the places up in the Syracuse area, right?
Yeah. So I was trained at the Institute of Professional Wrestling. My trainer is Zachary Springate III, and Isis Effects. I spent a lot of time with those two. I started in 2015, so I spent a lot of time refereeing too. In my earlier times, you just got to give the students something to do, and it gives you a different aspect to see things from a different aspect. And I took pride in doing it because I really wanted to do something, and I wasn't quite match ready yet for quite some time. It's comes, and it's very easy for some people, but for me, there was a few things that I was struggling with, and surpassing them, and started having matches and traveling, and it just basically comes and with you as you travel and become seasoned with that, and you just learn the ways of the road. And they pretty much took care of me very well. We had some fun times. And I still like to pop back over there here and there once in a while. And they're still based out of Syracuse.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I've noticed, because we're sort of making our presence up in upstate New York, and I've
Right.
gotten a chance to talk to a lot of the wrestlers up there. And the one thing I've noticed, obviously down where Ryan and I are on Long Island, it's just Long Island. Up in that area, it's you have the Syracuse people, you have the Rochester people, you have Buffalo. So it's like each town, it's like its own
region.
Yeah, exactly. I've noticed that.
Region, territory per se.
So I thought of that very much, like as you guys were saying. Anybody, from my perspective, they're just guys that I'm used to seeing, so it's, in my case, being a woman, if, say, my boyfriend is also another worker of 15, 16 years. If I go somewhere else, then I'm not with him, or I'm traveling far, and you see one of those people, or, you're 4 hours away from home, it's nice to see familiar faces. So, it's a sense of security, and hey, I know who I'm sharing my locker room with right now, and oh, it's nice to see so and so, and hey, safe travels home. Pretty much how it goes, and all of those guys or girls are going to end up working together. So eventually.
And that's one thing I've noticed is up in like Syracuse, Buffalo, up there seems like more of it doesn't seem like there's a lot of fighting, I've noticed. Unlike in, Jersey, where there's more of like,
drama.
There's more drama. I don't know if you've noticed that.
Oh, okay. So being somebody coming into a different area, does that deter me away from wanting to conduct business there? Am I somebody that would not conduct business somewhere that has drama? Everywhere has their own drama. But you're a freelance wrestler, and I'm not conducting my own fed or something or I don't have somebody that's conducting and putting me on in that sort. So therefore I have to work for other people. And so technically you make your judgment call if they're treating you well or not. And then I go from there. But yes, I do see a lot of drama. I absolutely do see a lot of drama everywhere. But for me to discredit one other area's drama and put it on Jersey, that's just not me.
Go ahead, Ryan.
That's me in a heartbeat. I've been doing this for 11 years, and I've seen it all, and unfortunately heard it all. But let's take a little trip back to when you first started training and first started working events.
Sweet.
Can you just? Yep, we're going back.
I love it. Yeah, I'm down.
Can you describe, to the viewers out there, like what was going through your mindset when you were like first told you were going to have your first ever match, all the way up to the final 3 count of your match? Like, like what were the emotions like? What was, like what was going through Marie's mindset?
So ultimately, when you're given an opportunity, or you're trying to seize an opportunity, or you're doing something, you're doing seminars, you're doing something. I believe I had Bob Evans' seminar that night, but I had already had a planned match. So I was going to be wrestling a girl, La Diva, from Rochester area, and it was for I believe it was for a benefit event. And for that night, I was like, this is my chance to show them that I understand what's going on. You're working and you're not getting a rate. So you're working for free, which is okay with me, because I just wanted my chance to be able to, like, at this point I had refereed a lot of these people, and I knew a lot of people. So to give me my chance to be able to wrestle for them and my peers, and along with, an audience in front of people, I was like, let's do this. And I think things went really well. And from the 3 count, it's almost like, woo, can we break the wall? Did we get everything, And I believe that there were some mishaps here and there. And I knew that from the 3, okay, my job was done. Get out. Let's go. And let's talk. And I wanted to not go immediately, go home immediately. But I wanted to I felt like I wasn't done with that. I wanted criticism, and I wanted to learn. And I knew that I had friends already that I had asked, hey, can you watch this match or whatever? So I just didn't want to make it a me thing, because seeing as it was a benefit, match. But I was also thinking, hey, there's not a lot of women wrestling in our area at this point in time. Me being in Syracuse, now there's a lot more. And I think that's happened within the past 5 or 6 years.
I noticed
But yeah, during that 2015, 16, 17, it was really hard to find other ladies to work with, for sure.
And I'm obviously, Ryan is somebody who's in the ring. I'm coming from somebody who's a fan who usually sits on the other side, and I'll be the first one to say that. But I want to transition now. Obviously, you got brought in for Goddess when they revamped everything. Obviously, Kevin Nasta took over as head booker. First of all, what has it been like working under Kevin, and what was it like when you got the call initially to join Goddess?
Yeah. So essentially, I made the decision to go to them, and we had a sit down. And this sit down happened after I had won the title, by the way. And so that's how quick that this happened. So we had a sit down and just discussion of where you're going to be. This is a part of a women's division. Telling me what Goddesses means to Titan. How not only that them being a sister brand, so that I could be a part of Titan as well, and just dates. And so that was probably our first communication, was are you available these days, and these days? And I think that first thing from a business perspective is that stay loyal to those dates. And even though I do have wrestling in my area, and we do have stuff going on, we have Excite in Binghamton, we have a lot of other things going on, I appreciate the opportunity, and you have to choose at that point, where you're going to go. And I told Goddesses and Titan, I was like, you guys got me. So that's basically our first way that we conducted business, was, are you available for this, and they're packed. So we have the whole year that I'm going to be conducting business, and even more now. So yes, definitely dates. Conducting business with Kevin is actually carefree, because touching base on a lot of the stuff that's been going on, I really don't, it's just if you're asking of my energy to talk about it, I want to give you guys that. I want to make things interesting a little bit. From my perspective, I'm a potty mouth, so I'll probably go off the rant about it.
It's fine.
And I kind of already know names, and I see these people fuck no, I don't see, I see them. So it's like, why do I why do I care? And my man's like this. So it's like, why do I care? You know what I mean? It's just so silly. And these garbage websites and stuff and like trash bag wrestling have been going on for years. And like I've been around for like 2CW days and stuff like that. So, I could I care? Really don't. You know what I mean? Like I've pretty much seen and heard everything at this point. So whatever that is going on, like I feel bad for the people that I'm conducting business with and everything. Like, yes, I really do. Will it deter me from working for their company? No, it will not at all. So long as you want to be able to conduct business with me.
I completely agree. And
Right.
yeah, once you mentioned, the garbage indie stuff, I was like, yeah, I know exactly who you're talking about on that. But the one thing I've noticed, Ryan, do you have a question before I go into my little thing?
Go ahead.
Okay, no, what I was going to say is, in my short time of knowing Kevin Nasta, with all the nonsense that he has to go through with the other promoters, I've always said this, and if he's watching this, yes, Kevin, I'm actually about to put you over here. So just,
whatever comes out of John's mouth, it's no baloney.
He's a consummate professional, is the best way I can put it. He is somebody who, it doesn't matter what drama is thrown his way, he will figure out a way to get through it. And because I was actually at the first Goddess show when they had done it back in, I think it was February was the first one, when the initial tournament, when you won the title.
Really awesome. Yes,
I was there for that. Because I was like, I remember I had gone down. I'm like, you know what? Let me go down. It's women's wrestling. I'm like, I knew a lot of the, I've known a lot of women just because of doing this podcast. And I got to admit, seeing you in action, I was like, I understand why Kevin and Titan and company put the title on you, because you're somebody who will wave that goddess flag no matter where you are. How did it feel for you when you got told, okay, you're the one who's going to be coming out on top of this whole thing?
So basically I love everybody. So you got to look at it as something. You either can look at people as competition, or you can be compassionate, and some people are really, really good friends. And for me, establishing a really firm friendship with any ladies in Jersey at that point, I didn't have any. And I didn't have any established friendships with any of them, really. So pretty much anybody, that's how I feel a lot of the time. And is it something that I should sit down and talk to more people and more lady workers about? Maybe. But honestly, I struggle with it because I've had a lot of veterans, and some of them say it is like competitive, and then some of them say that is complete BS. So, I struggle with it a lot. When I see other people and other women talent networking, absolutely anytime they post on their social media is networking. I don't feel like a bone in my body that's like of jealousy. I feel like I have a creative eye, and when I see something that I like, I want to find ways to break barriers similar to how I see somebody else breaking barriers. So when I see other people doing really good with their video editing and stuff like that, I'm like, cool. I don't look at you as competition. I look at you as like, hey, that's cool. Like, I like the thing that you put out, blah, blah, blah. Because all of us are mostly friends on Facebook somehow, here or another, So when you do finally like see so-and-so, I didn't want to say necessarily step on any toes, but it was happening, and you can't be like, why me? You got to be like, try me. So
I completely get that. Ryan?
Well, I'm going to be the first to admit it. I have never seen you wrestle. I'm being straightforward because you and I have never crossed paths.
right.
But hopefully, Master, if you're listening, maybe we can hopefully get something worked out.
Absolutely.
So so you mentioned that your man, as you said, your man is also I would say you would say a vet in this business.
Yes.
Now we're getting into the personal stuff. Well, not you know what I mean. How did you two? Shut up, John. How did you two end up?
I don't. It's perfectly fine, because if you were here, and you guys came to Upstate, like we just had super crazy at Excite on Saturday. So that's really fun, and you get to see like, them having a school over there with HC Loke, getting taught by him.
HC Loke is great.
There's a second school now. It's in Arnott. It's really fun. It's like a second home, because it's the closest home from my home that I'm getting booked at. So not saying that there's not other wrestling promotions going on in my area, but
anyway,
yeah.
How did you two end up? Obviously, did you meet through wrestling or the outside of wrestling? Like, how did you guys end up together?
I refereed his match. And this was like 7 years ago. Yeah. I have pictures that I share frequently, and I'm like, I was so little. And we were both like younger, but we were in, like, he was in something else, and I had something else going on, and we were always friends. But we always, I pulled tacks out of his back before and stuff like that. I've seen him wrestle Hornswoggle, and he's wrestled one of the Steiners. It's crazy. Yeah. It's literally, I think about it all the time, like, take the picture. You know what I mean? Somebody made this production happen, and it doesn't matter who's working that name that night. I don't have any gripe or grime ever why we have a name at any promotion, who's working them, what champions, what. I'm like, oh my gosh, this person. Like, I met Snitsky, and I'm like running around in the background, like, oh, like pretending to kick like infants that aren't there. And I'm like, it's Snitsky. And he's so gentle. Like, when he shakes your hand, I'm, oh. Yeah, there's like this jitteriness that I think everybody gets. And I just appreciate being a part of any promotion that's doing the efforts to showcase new and old talent, so that, we can mesh as one, get some eyes on some people.
Especially down here in the Metro New York area.
Yeah. I think everybody does a really good job. And I do see a lot of the same people going a lot of places. I've met Tommy Dreamer in like multiple areas. I'm like, does he remember me? Yeah, you got to make your impression. For sure.
I would say, you mentioned Tommy. I was like, I wouldn't just turn around and go, Ryan, haven't you worked with Tommy Dreamer like a couple times now?
Yeah, once or twice, or maybe at least 10, maybe 15 times.
Right. That's like how my boyfriend is. Like, they know each other, like cracking, jokes and stuff like that. But, as the lady, I'm like, I would have putts around, and I usually have like my own match or something else going that night. I was able to meet Gangrel, and my boyfriend's gimmick being werewolf in tights. It was vampire and werewolf team together.
Oh,
and yeah, so that match was pretty fun. I got to manage them. Yeah, I had some fun times. I'm probably gonna have to do a video or have somebody do a video of a bunch of showcasing like a lot of people who I met this year, because I met more people than I can actually remember at this point.
Well, if I remember correctly, didn't you just have a match recently down when Titan did the big show down in North Carolina? Didn't you just hit on Rosemary?
Yes. So tell me how, what, like, have you guys heard anything about it, or were able to maybe catch a live? I know that the footage, there might be some footage to get a hold of.
From what I heard through a mix between Nasta and one of the commentators, Alex Aceta, who's also the promoter of Invictus Pro Wrestling, they drew, John, correct me if I'm wrong, but he said there was like, what, 350, 400 people, I think?
Basically, yeah.
As he put it, I'm going to put it in the way Nasta put it to us. Basically, they shut down the town that day.
Yes, essentially. I ended up after my match taking a walk up the street, just talking. So we ended up coming up to this gas station, and at that point, at that point of night, all the vendors are gone, and the ring crew is cleaning up and everything. So me and Office walk up, and we're talking and whatnot, and I was like, and then the people at the gas station were like, when are you guys coming back? And actually thanked them for being there, and they're like, we've had business all day, thanks. Not essentially that it's a small town, but the fact is that that's where that is, LRB, that's just where it is. Don't ask why memorabilia is put in this spot. That's where it is. And that's where they chose to have the event. And it definitely drew more people out of town, I would assume. And it was a pretty hot day for that day. I didn't get the chance to get any of the food or anything that was there. I was like, there's a taco truck. I couldn't, there was an inflatable slide. There was a bunch of stuff I didn't get to do. I was mad. I was like, because I was more focused on getting ready for my match and preparing myself for my match. So, and that match was, I'm still in awe about it, I'm kind of still in awe about it. And I wish I could have had more peers there of mine. But
when it was announced that it was you and Rosemary, sales went through the roof on that one. So you have to pat yourself on the back saying, myself and Rosemary almost, sold out the seats. So, hey, good to us.
Right. The pyro that they had.
Oh, yeah.
That was pretty cool. I thought that was pretty cool, not going to lie.
I think I know
that
who
was new.
For pyro.
Right, because we're always inside. Everywhere, not even just for Goddesses or Titan, everywhere I'm wrestling is usually inside, unless I'm at a Harrisburg, Pennsylvania show or something, or we're gonna be in Auburn. I'm pretty sure it might be outside, but yeah, I've wrestled outside in Cortland before. I've wrestled inside of a barn before, like a cow barn kind of pasture before. Obviously, there's no cows in there.
Oh, that would make it so much more fun. That would make it so much more fun.
It would bring.
I've heard stories.
Whole new measure.
I've heard stories sometimes. When people hear upstate New York, they think cow country, but Syracuse is not really cow country. Liverpool's not cow country. It's rural, suburban. Syracuse is city-like. But there's some suburban, rural areas to Syracuse. No cows.
Closest I've been up there was I had gone to an Immortal show in
Sweet.
Rome, New York.
Yeah, which one was that?
That was
Wasn't that April?
Ron, that was April. That was the Road to Immortality.
Lance
show.
Storm?
No.
Oh, I'm trying to think here. Who was the big name?
I don't think there was a big name for that one.
Fandango?
No, Dango was just at the
Dango was just recently over in Utica.
Right, yeah.
But I remember the
I
one thing
know,
I
I
remember. No, but the biggest thing I remember though with going up there was I've noticed once you get past
Albany.
like Albany, that area, you're on like single lane roads, like 90% of the travel.
Yeah.
And go into the Rome show, because I'm all the way out in Long Island. So for me, from all the way where I am to Rome was, I think, 5 hours. I think it was about 5.5 hours. I believe me. I ask Ryan. I would do that in a heartbeat anytime for Immortal.
Didn't we do that back in August, and then we got stuck? We got stuck in a monsoon.
Oh yeah, there was that story. But yeah, no. But I remember though going up to Rome, and it was really my first time up in like that area, like Rome over there. And I just kept looking around, and I'm like, it's so peaceful up here. Because
that's funny.
Where I am and where Ryan is, we're more in like the city area. So for us, it's like, we like, I go out of my house, I go down the block, I'm on one of the main highways on Long Island. So going up there, and it's like, yeah, all you just see is grass.
So you're admitting that the people in Long Island and Jersey drive crazy, right?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
If that's what we were getting at, yeah. I'm just kidding.
No, there's no kidding.
It's kind of calm, but those back roads and everything at night, don't let them fool you.
Oh, I've been on those back roads, and I remember it was actually the Rome show, and I remember coming back, and I was like, "Oh, let me just shut my lights off for a second, see how dark it is."
It's
and
dark.
I shut my, and I was like, "Oh my god, I gotta turn my lights back on."
Oh dear. Yeah, my deer reflexes are like, wow, at this point.
Well, now
literally.
Oh yeah, we have a lot of deer also. So now it's like where I am, like I can be sitting in my kitchen and I look in my backyard, and all of a sudden I just see a whole group of deer. I'm like, "Oh, hey, what's going on?"
Literally, like, what's up, guys?
Well, okay. Talking about deer, I'm gonna tell this quick story, and then we'll get into what's going on with Excite and Goddess. I had 2 dogs. Unfortunately, one of them passed away a couple weeks ago, and they were outside. Ryan, I don't think I ever told you this story. And all of a sudden, there were 2 deers that come out. They're in the backyard, and I was always afraid that if a deer sees a small dog, that all of a sudden it's going to become, mealtime. And
deer eating dog?
I just thought, wild animal, but I stood correct on it. So all of a sudden, now we have one of the fences in our backyard has always falls down, so we don't even bother picking up anymore. All of a sudden, the deer became so startled, they started running. My dogs decided, "Oh, let's go chase the deer." Now, mind you, I'm not the most gracious person on God's green earth. Ryan, you can attest to that. And then all of a sudden, you see me run and try to catch my dogs who are trying to catch the deer. If you've ever seen the Benny Hill television show or have ever heard of it, I think the perfect way I could describe it was you just see the deer going, you see my 2 little dogs running, you see me running, and you just have the Benny Hill music playing in the background, because that's just how it ended up working out. But I just wanted to put that story out there about me with deer. I think I just cracked Ryan up.
It's funny because I'm imaging in my head.
Now,
okay, I have a deer image in my head constantly since like one of our really good friends, Marianne, told us she's just got in her car, right? And like 3 months later, she hits a deer, and she said she looked in the rearview mirror, and it's like woo in the air.
Oh,
she said it did like 3 flips. I was like, "Did you stop?" She's like, "No, it kept going." My car. She's but she's also handicapped. So she was like, I wanted to get home. But yeah, I was she's an older friend of ours, and I was like, that vision was playing in my head like every time I'm in a dark road like you were talking about, and then that deer pops up out of nowhere. I'm like, wow.
Well, that's why, with me, because I used to live, another part of Long Island, we never had deer, so I was never used to it. But now where I am, I've been out here now 3 years, going almost 4 years now. And now it's like I see a deer and everybody's like, oh my God, a deer. And I'm like, okay. They're neighbors now. I send them a Christmas card.
I think they're cute. My dad's a hunter,
Yeah,
and I've always prepared venison. But I think they're cute though. Sorry, I'm a meat eater, guys.
So we're meat eaters too. We're good.
I don't know if I owned a cow, like if I'd be able to eat cows anymore.
Jeez.
But I love cats. I think those little, ever since I saw this TikTok with this like long-haired mini cow, and she was doing little designs and little bows on it, I was like, I need a long-haired mini cow. I have pictures of me at Ricky Game Farm in upstate New York when I was a kid getting just pushed over by the deer. My dad thought it was the funniest thing in the world. I'm sitting there crying.
Hold on. I got another story about me.
I love deer stories. I just found a deer stand for my dad. He's like, I'm too old to use this.
I got another one. There was a place in upstate, I think it was upstate New York, called Catskill Game Farm.
Yeah. Okay. That's it. The same one.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it's the same one.
Yeah. We went up there, God. This goes back 15 years ago.
Yep.
So it was me, my parents, my younger brother, and my younger sister. So I got the honor of holding the food for the deer. Now, mind you, I'm 10 years old, 11 years old. I'm not.
And they pushed you. They hit you.
Oh, no. All of a sudden, my parents are walking ahead with my younger brother and sister. I'm in the background. I got the food in front of me. And all of a sudden, I look up, and I'm surrounded all around me by deer.
Yeah.
And
yes.
I'm 11 years old. I'm like, what am I supposed to do right now?
And they're huge.
Oh yeah. And my parents are looking at me. They're like, what do you? And then they finally looked up, and they finally realized, they're like, oh wait, John's back there with the food, and it looked like a bad version of if the deer can stand on their hind legs and just beat me up just to take the food. That's just the images I had in my head.
Did they do that though?
No.
No, they're like extremely tame, but like they will take like the top of their head. I swear, this place, and if it's still around, we should go. But what I'm getting at is that these kind of places don't exist anymore. Like, and would you let your 4-year-old, because I was 4 at the time, but would you let your kid fistful of food go up to this big old buck? Like, they were like furry, like they were reindeer. I don't think that they were a deer, like whitetail or anything. Like I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure the pictures that I have that were printed at like Eckerd's or something.
Oh.
Ours. I swear, if I get the picture and it has Eckerd's on the back, I'll send it to you guys. Yeah. They had furry antlers. So I don't know. My dad was like, it's Rudolph. Every deer in that place was Rudolph that had antlers. Yeah.
Whenever I see a deer, my dad jokes to me and goes, oh, look, Bambi's over there.
Seriously, yeah.
But,
and he'll be like, we're eating Bambi tonight. And I'm like,
yeah, my dad makes the same joke.
Yeah, it's a hunter. I'm a jerk, Dad.
My dad's not a hunter. He just has these really bad things called dad jokes and thinks he's funny, but he's really not.
We can get there, but yeah, I get what you're saying.
I have a really bad dad joke, but involving deer, but it's not regular deer, it's reindeer.
Oh no.
because I went to Alaska a few years ago with wrestling promotion, and I had a blast. The food was phenomenal, and all of a sudden there was this thing that they had called reindeer sausage. I'm like, reindeer sausage? I'm like, what the hell is that? The best way to describe it was, well, basically we're eating Donner and Blitzen.
That's what they eat out there.
It's so good.
I would imagine it's almost like elk. Like if you had Brock on this show, like they'd be like, okay, let's just talk about meat for 2 hours.
And while we're sitting there eating fucking reindeer and Donner and Blitzen, all of a sudden a big ass moose. I'm like, oh god, here comes Bullwinkle. Hey Bullwinkle, how are you? Like,
you saw a moose in person. That's awesome. I've been to Maine wrestling like 3 times. I haven't seen moose.
And of course, one of the wrestlers is going, "Hey, Bullwinkle, where's Rocky?" Oh wait, there he is. He's over
there. That's fucking great.
Go ahead, Ryan.
So let's talk about September 16th, the dual event with Goddesses and Titan.
Awesome.
Did they announce your match yet or no?
They did. So
okay.
I don't know if you guys have me on Facebook, but
after tonight
the graphics up there, yeah. I think I might have put it on Instagram. I'm not Twitter much of these days. I keep asking people like, should I be team Twitter? But no. Okay, I won't do it then, just because you said it. Okay.
Nope.
But it's gonna be me and Ivy Malibu.
Okay.
She's apparently stacked, and either she's apparently thinking that it's going to make me squeamish or so, but I'm kind of not. So for the title, yes, it's going to be a split show. I don't know who's going to be on for a split show, not as in Goddesses first, Titan after, because we've done that before, but split show as in we're all 2 brands on the same show, essentially. So I would assume that's how things are going to go, but yeah, I'm looking forward to that a lot. It's an awesome chance to meet other female talent. And like I said, talking back about that competitive nature, when you you're walking into an environment, maybe it might be a new arena you've never been at before, or a new town, it's always fun. And meeting new people is fun. Working with new people is fun as well. So just stay safe. And it's kind of a chance for 2 different kinds of styles. If so be, sometimes everybody kind of works almost the same at this point. We all have the same ulterior motive at this point. I think we all just want to be safe and have another awesome, blessed chance to be able to see our loved ones the next day. So I don't think that our promoters or our people that care about us are going to put us with anybody that they didn't think that we wouldn't do an awesome production with. So I'm looking forward to meeting her for sure.
So I got one question to add on to that. So it's gonna be a continuation. So when you defeat Miss Malibu, do you have your eyes set on anyone in Goddesses or any potential future opponents that you will like? And Kevin Nasta, if you're listening, really pay attention, because the champ here has a little wish list. Is there anyone on that top of your wish list?
I've always had a wish list. So basically, essentially, somebody who I don't go to my promoters and ask them, hey, can you book me against this person? Blah, blah, blah. Okay, have a good day. Bye. Mwah.
For a show, so they'll just listen.
There's some places that, you can go to and be like, hey, can you book this person for me? Or, help each other, girls help each other out. You know what I mean? give a laundry list of ladies who do you like to work with. But I've never had to do that with Kevin. He always finds me awesome talent, and he always, within the best interest, knows what's next, and how to progress forward. And I think he's really looking for a way to be able to showcase my talent and maybe showcase what's next for me with every opponent. So it's like, okay, it's like, here's an obstacle, here's a hardship, and here's a struggle. And I'm waiting for some like boss. Rosemary was a boss, but there might be a boss.
So
And I
Kevin,
think that boss is Victoria for me. If I wrestle Victoria,
Ooh.
yeah, I just keep looking to see what ladies that I grew up watching are still doing. And everybody's going to say Trish right now, but we all know that's not going to probably happen. So
I was gonna say, you mentioned in boss. Kevin Nass, if you're listening, I think Mercedes Monet is gonna be available in 3 months.
that's
there's a
funny.
boss right there.
Do you have more people because I'm paying attention too a little bit, but I'm paying attention. I see what's going on.
I have one, but it's with another company though that I think would be a good match for you. It's with a company in upstate New York. And Ryan, please tell me you know which company I'm talking about here.
I'm sorry, what now?
Wow.
I'm kidding. I'm very excited.
Oh, sweet. It's been many years
company.
that I've heard people using that.
I was thinking more of the other company.
Oh, the other company. I do spend a lot of time at Excite, but the thing is these people are putting on every month. So I'm at Goddesses and Excite every month, for sure. And Northern Tier, you're looking at like every few months, every 2 months or 3 months, here and there, or sometimes back to back in the summer, for sure.
Maria, the one I was saying, if you ever get the opportunity to work for Immortal Championship Wrestling,
Sweet.
I think you and Kayla would be a fantastic match.
So me and Kayla Sparks, yes, wonderful, yes. I absolutely see. So when I say I'm paying attention, absolutely, I see what she's going through or what she's doing. Obviously, her being an extra, her doing all the extra work. It's like you got a question. It wouldn't hurt to kind of, go into when you see that person to ask. You know what I mean? So for sure, it would be a pleasure to work with Kayla. I haven't been to Immortal in a little bit. I think last time I went, it was in support of watching and seeing what Vinny was doing. But for sure, for Immortal, I think we have a match on YouTube. Danny Moe and Facade versus me and Cheech.
Ooh.
And that was my favorite match that I've done there. I think I've worked for them once or twice. Might have done a couple battle royals or something here and there.
Well, one
to get my foot in the door.
One of the reasons why John, loves talking about Immortal so much is because, 3 of his favorite wrestlers are on the card, which are Bin Hamid and Blaze Haram, the sons of Allah, because he's the one person in the crowd going Allahu Akbar, and also his new favorite, Shane Stetson.
Oh, Shane, wonderful! I just saw him Saturday. Yeah, Shane and Chip are a treasure.
Marie, the running joke we had is before, not the last Immortal show, but the one beforehand, we actually had the promoter Mike King on to talk about the show, and I had a brain fart for some reason, and I accidentally called Shane Steve.
I don't think he would care because
Oh no, he's
he's cool.
He did.
Oh, he did. Oh, he's just nice to me, I guess, because I think I might have called him something other than Shane at some point.
Well, no,
But I do that to everybody.
He turned around to me when I saw him at the Utica show. I finally introduced myself, and he goes, I don't think we met. I go, oh no, we've met before. And he goes, what do you mean? I go, I was the one who called you Steve. And he goes, oh, you're the so now his nickname for me is I'm the schmuck.
Schmuck.
So next time you see Shane, and if you tell him, oh, I was on the Round the Ropes podcast, he'll know exactly who you won't even have to say who the hosts were. He'll go, oh, it was with Ryan and that other schmuck. But Marie, I just want to say it's been a blast having you on.
Thank you guys. I really appreciate it. We're coming into 2024, so
God,
it's coming faster than I can imagine. I'm going to be the one to say it. I think time's moving too fast for me. Before I know it, boom, in Jersey.
Ain't that the truth? And what's funny is that when John told me that you were coming on, and again, I know of you, but I never actually worked with you. This guy over here, being the wisecrack that he is, saying, wait a minute, hold on. We're bringing someone on that you never worked with?
Well, I have a laundry list of other female talent if you guys would love to talk to other female talent.
Mike King, if you're listening, October 21st, I think someone's available to face Kayla, just saying. In
Mike.
Skill.
He's a sweetheart.
Oh, I love Mike.
Yeah, he's great.
That's what I'm saying. I just like my area that I'm in. Like, I absolutely love upstate. For sure. Would I move someday? I would go anywhere. But
just don't come to Long Island, trust me. It's not.
No. My family's from there. I'm not gonna start a whole nother generation of family there.
I
just we just grew out of that.
No, that's no. No disrespect towards the time. We're overcrowded, so nobody comes.
Before we start a riot on the LAE, thank you very much, or the Northern State, Marie, you have an open door with the show. Anytime you want to come back on, just let me know. We'd love to have you back on. Before we let you go, though, where can our fans find you on social media, and what do you have coming up they'd like to promote?
Awesome. So I believe we're going to be in Auburn for Excite this upcoming weekend, Saturday. So they have a little bit of a thing going on right now. Our friends Cade and Foxy, she's been around for a long time.
I love Foxy.
So Foxy's been around for a long, long time. She's very lovely but spicy. So, essentially, with their booking status, if Cade's going to be there, Foxy is going to be there.
Oh yeah.
So Cade, formerly known as Stockade, if you guys were unfamiliar. So
Marie,
I know you know.
I've known him for about 15 years. So yeah.
Him and my boyfriend have wrestled many, many times, and I've had the pleasure of meeting him. I don't even remember, probably years ago at this point. We're all kind of like a little family. But at this point, the little thing going on is that there was a stipulation where if him and Axel, my boyfriend, with me and Foxy in the corners of them, lose, then Foxy would have to go and manage Edge of Hope. So now she's stuck managing them. Everything's in an uproar. Loke doesn't know what to do. Cade's breaking TVs in the back room this weekend. We got on video, and I tried to stop Cade during our match because Axel had Edge of Hope, had our dudes up there, and we were ready for the win. All of a sudden, Cade was distracted because Richter had come out, threw water on Foxy, similar to the fashion that he threw water on Cade's soon-to-be wife in October, Victoria, at the last show, and he was distracted. Our team had lost. Now Foxy has to manage Edge of Hope. Yeah, I'd like to see what's happened. I was not very happy. I was not very happy with the loss the second time, being in my boyfriend's corner. Would I blame him for our loss if he was managing me? I don't think so, but I can't yell at him. But he was pretty mad, and we had some words to say. So that's what's going to be happening this weekend. And I believe Mikey Whipwreck is going to be coming at some point in the upcoming future. I believe maybe later in September.
Yeah, I think
To
that's
Excite.
Yeah, I think September
I think I
30th.
just see that.
So I'm definitely going to be doing that. And we're going to be at Goddesses coming in September. So I'm definitely going to be in Jersey again. Lovely Jersey. I don't mind coming out that way, you guys. Absolutely love being traveled. You know what I mean? So I'll take the traveling. And sometimes when you're alone, nobody has to tell me what we're listening to in the car. I get to choose all my own songs.
There you go.
Yeah. But Marie, thank you so much for hopping on. We appreciate it a lot. We'll definitely gonna have you on again.
Thank you so much, you guys. I really appreciate it. You guys have a good night now.
Absolutely. As well.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Just give her a second.
And folks, that was the current Goddesses champion herself, still on her screen. Oh, now we're on to the table. All right. Oh, her phone took a bump. But the current Goddesses champion, Marie ValDomiea, great. What'd you think of the interview?
I loved it, especially I didn't think we were getting into a whole conversation about deer.
Seriously.
But Ryan, that's what, and I'm not trying to put both of us over here, but that's what I think makes us different. Is we can go off on tangents like that.
Oh, absolutely. And then go back on track.
Exactly. And guys, we will be joined in about 3 minutes.
Crap.
With
So let's quickly talk about some big event that happened on Saturday called Payback.
Yes. Well, I'm going to ask you this first.
There wasn't that much to talk about, honestly.
Well, I'm just going to say this before we get into Payback. Guys, definitely, I've been seeing a lot of the comments. Apparently, Ryan, we did piss Archie and Steve off.
Why?
Not because about the whole thing about how Jersey and Long Island people drive crazy.
Oh. How dare you? We don't drive crazy. Yes, you do.
And Steve goes, I don't drive crazy. I drive a fire engine.
That's still crazy. That's still crazy because the fire engines have the wee-woo, wee-woo, wee-woo. Oh,
actually, it's kind of funny when you think about it. Steve says he doesn't drive crazy, but isn't there a wrestler at Impact called Crazy Steve?
Moving on.
Guys, like I said, a couple minutes, Totowa Tom will be joining us to talk about the ISPW show coming up as well. We also have Wrestling Showcase to get into and so much more. So
let's quickly talk about Payback because honestly, first of all, I forgot it was on. And second of all, it wasn't exciting to me.
I think the biggest thing I can say from it is now that the bloodline is basically done, I think it's safe to say now that Judgment Day is slowly becoming the next bloodline.
I loved the Grayson Waller effect where Cody comes out and makes the announcement saying, please welcome the newest member of Raw, main event Jey Uso. And I'm like, wait, what?
Well, did you hear the comment Michael Cole said?
No.
When that happened? Apparently Michael Cole turned around and goes, yeah, Cody Rhodes used to be an EVP, so he can get stuff like that.
I did hear that.
I heard that. I was like, oh shit.
So now, but from what I'm hearing also, apparently that was their way of Cody getting traded to SmackDown.
Oh yeah, that was a no-brainer because that's the way they're going to set up. I think they're using that. I know it's early because I know it's quite early, and our guest is joining. I'll get to him. We'll bring him in a second. But I think it's safe to say that this is their way of setting up Mania. But Ryan, we're going to hold off on Payback for a second.
Because we're so close. There's nothing much to talk about. The main event match was okay with Seth Rollins and Nakamura. We know that's going to lead into their rematch. We know that.
Yeah.
I love that they opened up with Becky and Trish, with Becky going over and Zoe Stark, ending it with Trish. LA Knight and The Miz, we knew what was going to happen. Adding John Cena in for the effect, obviously gave him something to do. Tag team street fight for the tag titles. Honestly, I think that was like the best match of the night.
Oh, I completely agree.
With all four of them. Well, actually, technically all six, if you count Rhea and Dom. Rhea and Raquel, they could have gotten better. Unfortunately, it was the placement of the timing with putting them right after the street fight.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to think if there's anything else I'm missing.
No, I think that's it, really.
But all in all, honestly, it kind of was lackluster.
No, I completely agree. It was really a B-level pay-per-view. I think is the best way I can put it. But let's get to our next guest right now.
Okay.
This is somebody who you see him post a lot of stuff on Facebook. He sits in the front row at a lot of the wrestling shows in Jersey. You know him, the one, the only, Totowa Tom. Tom, how you doing?
Hey, John, how's it going? Hey, John, before we go on, I need you to announce me in the right way for the audience, okay? So when we go live, I want you to say, I have with me today the 5-star caller of 80s Wrestling, the podcast, the 5-star caller of Busted Open Radio, the #1 panelist of Wrestling with Savage, okay? And also the Front Row Mafia founder and #1 Front Row Mafia member, Totowa Tom. Have you got that?
Yeah, actually, Tom, we're actually live now.
Well, then that's great. I guess it was done right.
And also, I think you've seen my co-host before at WrestlePro.
Who?
My co-host, Ryan Peterson.
Yes. Ryan, big fan. We haven't formally met, but I have seen you at WrestlePro. May have seen you also at Battlefield. Do you go down to PA?
No.
Broadheadsville? Okay. It was WrestlePro then.
Yeah, it was WrestlePro. But I know the guy that does Battlefield, though.
I forgot one last thing. I am also the unofficial, uncrowned winner of the La Greca Lean contest. Okay.
Yeah, we definitely talk about La Greca a lot on this show. But Ryan, go ahead.
No. This is your guest. You go first.
Yeah, John, I just kind of bumped into you a little bit at WrestleBash a couple of weeks ago in Fairfield, New Jersey. Kind of connected on Facebook with you, and then somehow I wind up on this podcast. But that's fantastic. I don't mind. I've heard a lot of good things about this podcast. I am with the crickets tonight, as you can hear, because in a previous episode, I did know that was the angle you guys were going for.
John, we found the cricket's cousins. It's right behind Tom.
Well, actually, Tom, the first time I actually heard of you was actually at the Totowa fair that they did a couple months ago.
You mean Totowa Day?
Totowa Day, yes, Totowa Day. That's where I first heard about you. So, obviously, I'll ask this question. What got you into wrestling? What made you want to become a wrestling fan?
Well, I mean, I don't look at guys when you look at me, I know, but I'm like 53 years old, so I've been watching wrestling since like the late 80s. My first memories were of Superfly Snuka and also the Iron Sheik, especially when the Sheik won the title from Bob Backlund. I'll never forget that moment when I saw the hated Iranian holding that title, and I said to myself, this is terrible. Can't have anybody from Iran with this belt. This was right around the time of the Iranian hostage crisis. So, Hogan became my hero after that. In January of '84, Hulkamania went wild. And when you're in that young age of I guess I was like 13, 14, that stuff just stays with you forever. Hulkamania, what better time to grow up than in Hulkamania?
Ryan?
So, obviously, John met you at Totowa Day.
Well, John,
Because,
what'd
you
you
know, I
think of
can say
Totowa Day? What'd you think it's, if you don't mind, Ryan? I just want to ask John about Totowa Day because
Yeah,
Totowa Day
go
is
right
an
ahead.
event, it's an event that guess who's behind it. Totowa Tom. Okay, you see, it's not just a name, and it's not just a gimmick. I live it. I am on the town's Board of Recreation department. I coached and ran softball for the town's Police Athletic League department. I've been involved with Totowa recreationally for almost 20 years now. My wife, my beautiful, hot wife, she is a school teacher in Totowa for the last 15, 20 years. So we're entrenched in Totowa. So when you hear Totowa Tom, that's real. Okay, that's what I'm all about. And when the ISPW came to the Totowa PAL about 2 years ago, the Totowa PAL became the ISPW arena. So Ryan, I'm sorry I interrupted you. Continue.
No. It's all right. Was that the return show by any chance? The one that had Tito Santana, Rikishi, Sergeant Slaughter.
That actually was in Butler, New Jersey, and it's
Butler. Okay.
very poignant that you bring that up tonight because it's the 2-year anniversary of that show today.
Yeah, because I actually was the backstage correspondent for that event.
Ah, yeah, 2 years ago tonight.
Wow, God,
Yeah.
for 2 years already.
Yeah, it's been 2 years.
So were you a fan of ISPW like when it first started, like way back in the day with Tommy and his, or did you come in at when he came to Totowa?
Full disclosure, I only heard about ISPW a couple years ago when they came to Totowa.
Okay.
But I have actually inadvertently known Tommy, it seems, for almost 30 years. I was actually at one of his shows in the late 90s, which was in Haledon, New Jersey. I just told this story today, as a matter of fact. It was a match that Tommy Fierro promoted, and in the main event was Terry Funk and Abdul the Butcher. And the story I was telling was that it was a Texas death match, and I actually got to pick up a chair and give it to Terry Funk at one point during the match when they went outside the ring, and Funk used it on Abdullah. It was like, yeah, it was crazy. I was like, oh, wow, I was just a part of this match. I can't believe it, And so that was a Tommy Fierro run event. And also, I've been going to Tommy Fierro's conventions for years. He used to run conventions at the Holiday Inn in Totowa, New Jersey. I knew that they were run by a Tommy Fierro. What I did not know was that this Tommy Fierro was about 18 years old. I was expecting like someone in their 50s running these conventions. So I never officially met him until approximately 2 years ago.
Wow.
When he opened up his wrestling store. That's actually how it all came about. He has the Wrestling Collector in Stockholm, New Jersey. And when that store opened up approximately 2 years ago, I went there, of course, introduced myself to him saying, I know your name. I've been a fan of yours for years. And then he told me about ISPW. And since then, I've been going to pretty much almost every show.
Wow. And I was disappointed.
Sorry, Ryan?
And obviously they never disappoint.
No. The thing about ISPW that I like is it reminds me of the 80s. Okay, first off, Tommy loves 80s wrestling as much as I do. He has the podcast every Thursday, which is just basically on 80s wrestling. So what Tommy does with ISPW is he brings a lot of callbacks to those wrestlers from that era. Like, for instance, I know we're going to talk about ISPW 25 soon, but I'll just, let the cat out of the bag in case you don't already know. But Sergeant Slaughter and Tito Santana will both be at the ISPW arena on September 29th. I mean, that's some star power that Tommy at ISPW brings into his events. He'll even have them wrestle, as I saw Tony Atlas wrestle last year's 80s Wrestling Con. So the thing, as I was saying about ISPW, is it has an 80s feel to it. And what I mean by that is it's kid-friendly. I'm going to go on the line and say it right now. If you're a mother or a father and you're not sure of bringing your son or daughter to a wrestling match because they can get pretty hardcore, you don't have to worry about anything coming to an ISPW show. It is extremely kid-friendly. And what we're doing at ISPW is we're building that fan base. When I was a kid, all right, and when I first saw Hulk Hogan, and let's be honest, I mean, Hulk Hogan, was that cartoon character that we all gravitated towards. Yes, we all wound up watching Flair in NWA, and we all knew that he was more of a, sexy wrestler, so to speak. And, for the adults, we enjoyed it and his persona. But Hogan brought in the merchandising. Hogan brought in the fans that are still watching today, like me.
Like you said, he's the real life superhero.
Exactly. And that's the reason why I like pro wrestling. And John, maybe you were asking this question before. Why do I like pro wrestling? First off, I'm a comic book collector. I love superheroes. And superheroes, to me, is about good versus evil, which is the, story that everybody gravitates towards. And what is pro wrestling but real life superheroes that we actually can go to and see and touch and boo and cheer and interact with? You can't do that with your heroes on the big screen. You go to your Marvel or your DC movies nowadays. Yeah, you can go to a convention and you can speak to them at any of those Comic Cons, but they're never in character for the most part. You're just speaking to that actor. But here, you get to talk with the wrestlers in their persona.
That's one of the things I love about indie wrestling. And actually, you mentioned before about 80s WrestleCon. I was actually at that. I was there. I know if you remember, there was a table when you first walked in. You had the table of all the cosplayers, and then there was the table right next to them, which was we were actually selling our own coffee.
Ah,
so we were there. We have a table at 90s Wrestling Con.
So where was that table at 80s Con again?
Right next to the cosplayers.
Oh, right by the cosplayers?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I didn't see it.
Yeah, we were right there, because then if you walked a little bit further down was where Dave LaGreca was doing Busted Open from.
Right.
So we were right there.
Are you going to be at 90s Con?
Yes, I will be there.
Okay. If you want, I can just give a quick plug on that.
Yeah, go right ahead.
You guys want to go on to, and I have this all to memory, just so you guys know. So, 90s WrestlingCon.com. Go to that website and you can buy your tickets. This event is Saturday, September 30th at the Rockaway Mall. 10 a.m. it starts. And, actually 10 a.m. is the VIP members. They can go in a full hour before everyone else. But the rest of the audience can come in at 11 o'clock. And I'm just going to go over some of the big heavy hitters. The Sergeant Slaughter, which I already mentioned. Kevin Nash is going to be there. The Dudley Boys are going to be there. Devon and Bully Ray. The Nasty Boys. And, of course, someone who's making a lot of waves right now in the wrestling social media scene, Marty Jannetty.
Yes. It's good. I'm looking forward to it. And actually, Totowa Tom, we actually have some comments coming in. Yes, there's a website right there.
That was at 90swrestlingcon.com.
Well, it's actually 90swrestlingcon.com.
That's what I did.
Okay, good.
Yeah, that's what I did. 90swrestlingcon.com.
Exactly. That's what I said.
We do have some comments coming in here. From John.
That's like some rogue guy. He thinks he's part of the Front Row Mafia. Wait. Oh, I do know him. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
And then I guess that was the whole cricket thing. And he says,
I apologize for the right. So, getting back to ISPW 25, okay? Unless you guys want to talk about something else.
Oh, no.
I kind of do, actually. I have one question.
Yeah, Ryan.
Were you at the Wildwood show?
Okay. I wasn't. And it wasn't because I didn't want to be. That was a difficult day, so to speak. All right. So, as I said before, I'm Totowa Tom. I was running a baseball game that day at Citi Field, which I didn't go to. Okay. So, that was one thing on my list that I had to do on the 26th. It was the Mets against the Angels. I also wanted to go see Dave LaGreca get inducted into the International Hall of Fame, and I had every intention of going. Was ready to book hotels and whatnot, and then I heard about Tommy's show, So I was actually not going to Tommy's show. I was going to the Hall of Fame, but as life has it, something else happened, and I couldn't even go to the Hall of Fame. But Jon, I know you did, and I think that was fantastic on your part. And I hope you had a great time, and it was a great moment. I got to actually see his induction speech from one of the Around the Ropes members, Billy.
Yep.
Yeah, she was there, and I saw the video from her.
Yeah, it was. I had the opportunity because I've known Dave now for a number of years. I've used, you said I don't know if you remember years ago, they always just talk about a show called The Nation Show.
Heard of it, yes. That still goes on, doesn't it?
Well, it's now called Nation's Corner. It's a whole story what happened with that. But I was part of that Nation Show. So that's kind of, and I also knew Dave even beforehand because, funny story, years ago, I had gone for a job interview at SiriusXM for board op for MLB Network Radio. And obviously I had known Dave, and the guy who was actually going to give me the interview was actually their former producer, Mike Reich. Mike Reich. Riker. And I remember I had seen Dave afterwards because he said, after the interview, let me know. I can say hi and talk for a few minutes. So I've known Dave for a while. And the funny thing is, you mentioned, because he was also at the convention that day because they had a convention. It was the wrestling show on Friday, the convention Saturday morning, and then the dinner was Saturday night.
Right.
And the convention part, I remember I walked up there, and he had two pictures that you can get autographed. One of them was him with Thunder Rosa, and the other one was actually him from ISPW.
Okay.
So I actually got an autograph, and he goes, "Which one do you want to get?" I go, "Give me I want to go to the ISPW." But I know you had asked before about my thoughts on Totowa Day. I had an absolute blast that day. It was actually, there's a picture, and I'll send it to you, where I actually I had a Bullet Club shirt on.
Okay.
And it was the first time I had worn that shirt in probably 10 years. Because I've lost a significant amount of weight over the last couple of months. And I haven't worn that shirt because anytime I wore that shirt, it always looked so damn tight on me. So I was like, for this one, I was like, I didn't tell anybody beforehand that I was going to wear it. I tried it on maybe a day or two before, and I was like, if it fits, I'm going to wear it. And I wore it. So that's why that show, to me, is a very cool show because I got to wear that shirt. I just, being out there, it was a little warm that day. I won't disagree on that part.
Yeah.
But it was definitely a fun experience. And I've been to a few ISPW shows, and I completely agree with what you're saying about how ISPW kind of have that family feel to it. Because I remember you mentioned 80s WrestleCon. I remember that one very well. And just, you had, the heels were getting booed, all that stuff. So it was a fun experience. But I want to get into the 25th anniversary show. But before we get into that, we actually do have some more comments coming in here.
Okay.
From more people from the Front Row Mafia. So I just want to get to some of the other comments here. Come on, there we go.
Okay.
So we got Randy chime in here that Randy, thank you for finally catching the show. And yep. And then another comment. Yes. Putting you over, Totowa Tom.
Well, those guys were at Totowa Day, and I have to say, all the credit goes to the wrestlers because they all show up, free of charge. I mean, we don't pay them. They all come and they do it because they love performing. They're performing in front of a nice crowd. I mean, there had to be 2,000, maybe 2,500 people there that day in Totowa Day. I know overall we probably had around 3,000 because we publicized it pretty well. And it's a great event. It's not just a wrestling card, guys. I mean, the wrestling actually came later. We ran it the first couple of years without professional wrestling. We did some cornhole tournaments. We did some neat little things, but now it's taken off. I mean, it is so big and so huge. It's getting bigger and bigger every year. And if you look at it, we are copying the same as WrestleMania. So like the first one was Totowa Day, and then it's Totowa Day Roman numeral 2, Totowa Day Roman numeral 3, and I actually had T-shirts made up, which actually looked like the WrestleMania 3 insignia, way back when. And then this year was obviously Totowa Day 4. So we have that connotation with pro wrestling. I'm always trying to do that, and it's getting over with the town. Nowadays, when I walk around town and let's say I'm doing something that's non-wrestling related, somebody will come up to me and say, "Oh, there's the guy who's involved with wrestling." Well, I've known you for 20 years. What do you mean there's the guy who's now involved with wrestling? We know each other, but I guess the wrestling part is now taking itself over, because even in town, they refer to me as Totowa Tom. So like if I'm at a concert, we just ran a summer concert series, and when the director of the board of rec comes up, he'll be like, "And Totowa Tom is here with us tonight." So it's pretty much, it's just like it's happening all over Totowa, which is kind of cool.
No, I completely see it. Ryan?
Well, since you weren't in Wildwood, talking about, the stories that happened, especially with the power outage and whatnot.
I've heard the story. Did you hear the story?
I heard part of it.
Oh, so Tommy told it on the podcast that he has every Thursday at 10 a.m., but you can also watch all of them on Blog Talk Radio, I believe. It's called 80s Wrestling, the podcast. So the show's going on at around 8 o'clock, and they're getting ready to, they're in their preparations. At around 7:30, a driver drives into a telephone pole and destroys a transformer. Now, when that transformer blows, the entire boardwalk loses power. So while Tommy's in the convention center, they lose power. Their backup generators come on, and the lights work, but they have no sound, okay? So they had their special ring announcer, Rich Reed, go into the ring. He had no mic, right? Because there was no sound. He went and got like a bullhorn somewhere, and he started talking to the crowd through the bullhorn, entertaining them. The sad part is in all of this is that once that power went out in the boardwalk, the majority of the people all left. And when you book a show like that in Wildwood, it's kind of like a last minute thing that you're showing up to go see, and the walk-up crowd was basically gone. Okay, so no walk-up crowd, but it was a successful show nonetheless, because the power did go back on, I think around 8:15. Okay, Wildwood apparently was on top of the situation, and everything else went fine. I mean, they started off with a steel cage match. As a matter of fact, you can watch the entire show on YouTube right now. Brawl on the Boardwalk.
Oh, yes. And I actually watched it a couple of days ago. And first of all, my boy GKM is one crazy SOB. But also, it was a solid show from start to finish. But now let's fast forward to ISPW 25.
Yes. There's one match I want to bring up, ISPW 25, Ryan. I think you might be interested in it.
Could it be a certain type of match between some sort of an announcer and another good friend of mine named Maven?
Exactly. So now, I've been watching Maven browbeat Rich for months now, always about his style and clothing that he wears.
Oh, I've been loving it. I mean, I've been watching it.
It's entertaining, right?
Of course
So
it is.
I actually think Rich is a pretty good dresser. And that's one of the things that I said to him when he first came to ISPW. I said, you know what? You're doing your job, because not only are you out there and you're, obviously, announcing, everyone to the crowd, but you look the part. And they had an announcer before him, which kind of didn't look the part, So I like the fact that he's always wearing different threads. And Maven has just been really harping on him, and it is just so amazing that he's actually now going to be in the ring against Maven. What are your thoughts about that, Ryan?
First of all, I've known Maven for a while, and despite what people say about him, he's an awesome dude. I'm gonna be straightforward, and Paul Metnicar, he's a humble, down-to-earth guy, always has a big smile on his face. Great guy. And Rich, well, the match is going to be fantastic. I'm just kidding. No, Rich is a great guy. Rich is awesome. When I first heard about it, I'm like, are they really going through with this? I thought it was a joke at first, but apparently it's not.
Well, it's a tuxedo. It's a tuxedo match.
I would love to see Rich, if you're watching, I have the perfect hype up video idea for you. Somehow get someone filming a workout montage with the theme from Rocky in the background as you're preparing yourself for your match against Maven. I think that would do well.
I think he's listening. Wasn't he on the show like yesterday or today?
Yeah, the interview dropped earlier today.
Okay.
But my first question to him, I brought it up. I was like, we've had you on before, talk about, when he got inducted into the Hall of Fame, the ring announcer stuff. But I'm like, now we're going to introduce you as an in-ring competitor. And I said it to him, and he knows with me that I joke around with him. I'm like, okay, your first match. Now, mind you, ISPW runs a lot of shows. I'm not, and that's not trying to be mean to Tommy. It's just he runs a lot of shows. I'm like, you couldn't pick, when they did it in Avenel or, in Butler. You decided to pick your debut match on the biggest card that ISPW has run in their existence. And I said to him, I'm like, it's like, okay, it's not like you're going up against somebody who's not a no-name, or you're going up against somebody who's been in WWE, and he goes, yeah. But he even said in the interview, and you can see the interview on our YouTube page, he said he's not going into this match preparing it to be a Bryan Danielson type match. It's not going to be a 5-star technical. He goes, he's going in there mainly to prove a point. He wants to basically go in there to basically shut Maven up. And I said to him, I said, dude, I commend you a lot for that. I go, so I figure I should be seeing a post from you on Monday or the day after the show saying, I'm in pain, my body's aching, I should never have done this. And he goes, probably.
John, more than likely it's going to come up on Monday because Sunday he'll still be knocked out unconscious.
Honestly, I said it to him. I said, knowing the fact that you have all of this emotion going into this match, honestly, and I'm not somebody who will sugarcoat it, but I said to him, I'm like, this may be one of the better matches. Not from a technical perspective, but from a story perspective, I think this could be one of the better matches.
I don't know if you heard me. It's a tuxedo match. So, I mean, now my definition of a tuxedo match, I recall Howard Finkel being in one, right? Back in the days. Mm-hmm. And I think the only way you can win is by ripping off the other one's tuxedo. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
So I'm not exactly sure what kind of, Greco-Roman match we're going to be getting, from these guys. I think it's going to be what it is, which is a fun spot in a wrestling card. And that's one thing that Tommy does do, is that he puts different, types of matches throughout the card. You have your fun spot, you have your title matches, you have your high-flying matches, and then you have your, the ones that are comedic, basically, with managers. That's another thing Tommy does, which is very 80s reminiscent, is the managers. He has a nice stable of managers. I think more managers than, definitely more than the WWE. I don't know if it's more than AEW, but, I mean, when you look at Andy Weinberg, Nikki Benz, Maven, Dave LaGreca, I mean, those are 4 managers right off the bat that he has. And, his roster's got to be only, 10 to 12 wrestlers at a time that he carries. He does a nice job bringing in new wrestlers every 3 to 6 months without hurting the storylines. That's another thing I like about ISPW, is that they have storylines that are going on. It's hard without TV to do storylines, but what he does have is the podcast. What he does have is social media. And his guys go on social media and use Facebook. This is how you get yourself over in today's pro wrestling world. Bull James and Maven, great vignettes from Maven's office in New York City. Rick Recon, he was cutting some great promos on Facebook. Ray Calitri, my God, I mean, the guy is all over the world and he's cutting fantastic promos. It's like guerrilla warfare wrestling is what this is, and they're doing a great job. And I would like to see them get TV at some point, maybe like one of those news stations, like the Premier Streaming Network. I would like something like that for ISPW to be a part of. It's affordable. It's only $9.99 a month, and you can pretty much see a lot of independent wrestling. That's where I watch Battlefield. Battlefield is a great promotion out of Broadheadsville, Pennsylvania. It's a promotion run by Alpha Jr. And I would love to see Outlaw Wrestling on there. Outlaw Wrestling is a promotion that's run by Bill James and others. And I have been to those as well. And it is what it is, right? Outlaw. I mean, it's an outlaw promotion. And I love seeing a lot of different independent wrestlers so that when they do come to ISPW, you know who they are.
And actually, Ryan, I don't know if you had another question.
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
I do have a request for Ryan, if it's not too much.
What's up?
I would love to hear you announce my name.
Okay. Well, first of all, I'm going to need all that info again. So
No. You didn't have to do all that. You could I just want to hear Totowa Tom. I think that would be awesome, just to hear you say that.
I might throw in a little extra stuff on there. So, ladies and gentlemen, right below myself and John, this gentleman is the man behind Totowa Day. This is the legend himself, Totowa Tom.
Love that bass. I love that bass. That was awesome. And the cricket in the background, perfect. And we just lost John. John was so
there you go. Just lost his circus.
John just lost his breath, and he's completely gone from the podcast. It was such an amazing job by you, Ryan. Actually, truth be told, I had this plan before that the Front Row Mafia is taking over this podcast, and that was our first strike right there. So JVD and Randy have pretty much taken out John, and Ryan, I'd watch out if I was you. I mean, we need a bigger forum. The Front Row Mafia is only on Facebook.
At least I can say your name right and the name of the event, like Totowa Day, right?
Yeah.
No, I know what's going on with John. It's something with his laptop. He'll be back in on a bit.
He was attacked by a giant cricket.
Yep, exactly. So, now I'm gonna ask you this, for the future, with the success of the recent Totowa Day, could we see another potential Totowa Day in 2024?
I think that's really what's happening at this point, is that it's almost become a part of the event. The event has gotten huge in itself, like as far as what attractions we have. This past year, we had a zip line. I mean, we had a mechanical bull. I mean, we had axe throwing. I mean, we went all out. We had a Ferris wheel, which was really cool, right, John? You saw that Ferris wheel by the ring? I mean, it was great. It was like a carnival atmosphere. So I think it's going to be something that's going to happen every year. And so far, we've been very, very lucky with the weather.
Was this your first one, or did you have done multiple before?
It's our fourth.
Our fourth one, okay.
We did two, and then the pandemic hit, so we had to take a couple of years off. We came back with Totowa Day 3, and we had the wrestling, and that was tremendous. And this year was Totowa Day 4.
I will say this much. It was actually that I remember with Totowa Day, that was the first time I actually ever had a churro for the first time. Because I remember we were sitting, we were on, trying to remember the best way to describe it. If you're sitting by the ring, I was on the side closer by the entrance. Not the entrance to the
with the Bulletproof shirt on?
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't see you.
I was the one. There was a shot that Tommy just took where he posted on Facebook where you see everybody, you see a lot of other people sitting down, and you just see me standing in the corner on my phone. Yeah, that was me. But no, I had a blast.
Did you videotape any content?
Yeah, I did videotape a few things. But it was such a blast to be there. And it was fun also just to walk around. At that point, I was afraid. I was going to do the zip line, but at that point, I was still a little heavy, and it wouldn't be a zip line anymore. It'd be a zip boom.
Yeah, I wouldn't go near that. I'm definitely afraid of heights. So that and the Ferris wheel were not on my agenda. Me actually going onto the top rope and doing the La Greca lean was probably the highest I'll ever go. I don't know if you saw that, but it was in West Milford, New Jersey. I was the only one to actually go off the top rope and do it correctly. Instead, they gave the title to some kid. Of course, they're going to give it to some kid. He's like 10 years old. And that's why I am the unofficial, uncrowned La Greca lean winner. So, I mean, that's all there is to it.
But
So what time do we have on this thing? It looks like we've been doing this for 2.5 hours, according to your podcast. It seems like only about 20 minutes.
you
guys have been on for 2.5 hours?
Well, you missed what Totowa Tom said after I introduced him. Apparently, my bass was so powerful it knocked out your feed.
Exactly.
No, I did hear that part. You did it, Ryan. You did a very good job. But
Yes, thank you. Ryan, when are you working again at WrestlePro?
I am working actually the next one on the 17th.
Okay. A lot of the Front Row Mafia will be there.
Okay, good. So I can actually say hi to you guys.
Yes, exactly.
And also, they just speaking of WrestlePro, they just announced two matches for October.
Excellent.
Which I'll gladly tell you now if you have a couple of seconds.
Go right ahead.
So they already announced that it's going to be the AAA Latin American Championship, which is defended by QT Marshall.
Right.
He'll be defending it against Gringo Loco. But also, and me personally, it'll be another bucket list item of me introducing this matchup. It'll be, I guess he's calling himself the Buzz Killer again, Pat Buck, going one-on-one against the current reigning and defending NWA World Heavyweight Champion EC3.
Really?
Yep.
Wow. That's huge. That is huge. I'm actually surprised he won that match over Tyrus.
And if I'm not mistaken, I think Pat trained EC3 back in the day.
Probably.
And OVW, I think.
Right. Probably. Pat's had his hand in everything almost. You know, Creative
Yes,
Pro, Wrestle Pro. I mean, WWE. He's done it all.
And also this Saturday there's a massive event in Metuchen, the Wrestling Showcase, where yours truly is the voice of that event.
Perfect, because the Front Row Mafia will be there with tomatoes.
Really?
Yes.
Stay there for Cardona, not me.
But Totowa, my last question. I know we had the issue before with my minor issue with the technical issue of the matches. I don't know if you guys talked about it. I saw that, Ryan. What's other than Maven and Rich Reed? What's one match you're looking forward to on the 25th anniversary show?
All right. Well, for me, okay, it all starts and ends with Richard Holiday. He's the ISPW heavyweight champion. If you know his story, and I'm not going to get into it right now, but the man would be wrestling probably somewhere else right now if it wasn't for the setback that he had. I really think that guy would probably be in AEW, possibly maybe even tag teaming again with MJF. He is the prototypical pro wrestler. He tells a story in the ring, okay? He has great ring work. He has great size. He can do his promos. He looks good. I mean, he has every single attribute that a pro wrestler needs. Right now, he's the ISPW heavyweight champion. How long for? I'm not sure, because he has to fight Danny Morrison at ISPW 25. Danny was the champion, but he had a year-long injury, okay? So he's finally getting back into the swing of things. The only thing I can say is that it may come down to, let's say, like maybe Dave LaGreca, who's the manager for Richard Holiday, who used to manage Danny. You know, he might be the X factor in that match. But that right there is the main event and is the match that I'm looking forward to. The other great match would be Ray Kalitri against Crowbar. And that's going to be for the Tri-State Heavyweight Championship. The thing about Ray Kalitri is that he not only is he the Tri-State champion, but he also has, for lack of a better word, the Money in the Bank briefcase. I'm not really sure what ISPW is calling it these days, but it's basically a ticket to give him a shot at the heavyweight championship, or any championship for that matter, at any time he wants. So I guess what you could see is, let's say he does lose the crowbar, he could cash that in like 2 seconds later, and get the title right back.
Yeah, you never know.
No, and then the one guy that I'm really looking forward to seeing, who I haven't seen in a while. I mean, the card is just massive. I mean, if you don't mind, I'm just going to go over it really quickly. Sean Donovan hasn't been around in a while. I know he's been at WrestlePro, but he hasn't been at ISPW much. It seems like when he does, he's destroying GKM and just leaving him in like a pile of shit. So right now, this is the grudge match between the two. So I'm really looking forward to that. Leo Sparrow, who has been in ISPW, heartthrob, so to speak. The girls love him. All the chicks love him. The guys even love him. He's taking on Joey Ace, who is a very, very formidable independent pro wrestler. That's going to be a great matchup. We have on the women's side, and I'm glad to see this. Gabby Ortiz made her return to ISPW a few weeks ago. Gabby has not been around for ISPW for a while. If you guys saw the show called Monster Factory on Apple TV, she was prominent in that, and they had a few episodes dedicated to her. So I know I became an immediate fan because I got to see more about who she was as a person. So we're very happy to see her come back to ISPW. She's fighting against Vicious Vicky, who is the women's champion and has been for a while now. And Gabby and Vicky, I guess the best way I could describe them is frenemies. They seem to get along, but then it's like they can only stay friends for so long until they're at each other's throats. And they, and it's now coming to a head at ISPW 25. There's going to be a dog collar match between Alpha Jr. and Bull James. I mean, you don't need a dog collar match for those guys because they're so massive in size and they know each other so well. But that dog collar, when you just throw it in there, it just adds something else, to the match. So looking forward to that as well. Lance Anoa, from the Bloodline, will be taking on Justin Carino, who everyone is excited to see in action. He's now wrestling again on the side of the fans after kind of turning his back on them for about a year. Everyone wants to root for Justin. He's a great guy, and everyone likes his work. Didn't really get into him too much when he, was on the wrong side of the tracks. And then finally, there's going to be a winner's circle, and I don't know if you guys know what the winner's circle is.
Yep.
So Andy Weinberg is one of those managers that I told you about that does a great job on the mic. And Andy Weinberg will be in center ring. He will be having the winner's circle, which is basically a talk show with some former ISPW greats like Judas Young, Mike Moraldo, who is Ace Darling, as we all know. Who else is he going to be talking with? Some surprise guests, as Tommy always likes to throw in there. Surprise guests are going to be there. But with Andy on the mic, it's just going to be gold. And then finally, we have a 6-man tag team elimination match. It'll be the champions, who are the Now, Vic Delicious and Hale Collins, taking on TJ Epics. Actually, they're going to be teaming up with TJ Epics, and they're going to be taking on the tag team of Mr. Joe Clean, Anthony, and Michael Mars. It's a lot of matches, but guess what? These shows, they end in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. You don't have to worry about them ending too late. Once again, family friendly. You'll get your kids out of there by around 10 o'clock. Tommy does a wonderful job in, producing this card so that, you don't overstay your welcome. It's a shame sometimes when you go to these shows that go 3 hours and in the main event, half the people have left. They leave during intermission sometimes because they got kids. They can't stay up. They can't stay out that late. So it's going to be a great time. It's on the eve of 90s Wrestling Con. So what a great way to spend your weekend with ISPW. You have ISPW 25, that's September 29th. And then you have 90s Wrestling Con, that's September 30th. And you can get tickets for ISPW 25 at ispwwrestling.com.
You're definitely going to want to check it out, folks. It's going to be a great night. Ryan, do you have any more questions before we wrap up?
No, I am all good.
Well, Totowa Tom, I appreciate you hopping on with us. It was an honor having you on. Definitely want to have you on again whenever, if there's anything big going on in Totowa that you like to promote, the door's open for you to always come on.
Thank you. I appreciate it. You guys do a great job. And as I said, I'm a big fan. So I look forward to seeing you guys, John, seeing you at the events and maybe some conventions, and Ryan, seeing you at WrestlePro.
Absolutely, man.
Absolutely. But again, Totowa Tom, thank you so much for hopping on. We greatly appreciate it.
Pleasure was all yours.
Have a good night, Tom.
And folks, that is Totowa Tom just lounging in the
What? I told you. I have this podcast and then I have another one at midnight. Yes. Okay?
Oh, jeez.
Just go back inside and put some clothes on. You don't come outside looking like that. The neighbors can see you. Is this a... All right, I gotta go, guys.
All right,
Yeah,
Tom,
you
talk to you soon.
Here's
How
some
do you
business.
cut this off?
All right. All right, then. Well, that was Totowa Tom, apparently.
Right.
But again, folks, definitely check out ISPW 25 on Friday, September 29th in Totowa, New Jersey, at the ISPW Arena, aka the Totowa PAL, as John tries to catch his breath still. And then check out 90s Con the following day. I think in the same building on September 30th. Definitely go to ispwwrestling.com or 90swrestlingcon.com. Ha. Okay.
Jesus Christ. So yeah, let's get into the last thing we have.
Quickly. We got two quick things. All Out, in my opinion, was great. I think the energy was a lot better because a certain Punk wasn't there. But my opinion, the matches to definitely watch are the strap match with Ricky Starks and Bryan Danielson.
Oh yes.
Definitely Takeshita and Omega. And the main event, which Jon Moxley dethroned Orange Cassidy to become the new AEW International Champion. And honestly, I said this to John off camera, and he agrees because I think he said it too. This does not ruin Orange Cassidy's stock at all.
No.
In fact, it might have elevated him. But definitely watch that strap match, though. Holy shit.
I'm still just trying to catch my breath on what the hell just happened.
Well, now we talk about All Out. Let's talk about what's happening this Saturday in Metuchen, New Jersey.
Yes, and since you're the ring announcer for it, would you like me to take myself off screen so you can?
No, because I'm actually going to need your assistance.
Okay.
I'm going to need you to go onto the Premier Streaming Network social media pages.
All right, hang on just talk about the event itself. Just give me 1 second.
All right, so yours truly, the co-host of the podcast, is the official voice of the Wrestling Showcase, which will take place this Saturday, September the 9th in Metuchen, New Jersey. Now, they did this event last year in Chicago, and it was a very successful event where they had a massive one-night tournament to crown the Wrestling Showcase champion. And that winner became known as the indie god himself, Matt Cardona. Now this year they're doing something a little different. As since the installment of the Premier Streaming Network, you see a lot more promotions that are on there. Oh yeah, we're going to be having some spotlight matches from said promotions that are featured on the Premier Streaming Network, along with some bigger name matches on there. So off the top of my head, representing House of Glory Wrestling. I don't know if the title will be on the line, but the Crown Jewel Champion, the root of all evil, Charles Mason, will be wrestling that night, taking on none other than the Samoan Werewolf, Jacob Fatu.
Yeah, that should definitely be a good match.
Also, I think Atlantic Pro Wrestling is on the pre-show with their title being on the line.
Yes, from what I see here, yes.
Also, I think if it's still happening, I think the host of the pre-show is none other than Chris Van Vliet.
From what I see here, yes, it looks like that's the case.
And also, Ricardo Rodriguez is guest ring announcing his promotions match on the pre-show. I'm trying to think. But also there'll be two titles on WrestlePro will have a massive 6-man tag showcase featuring the Ace of Space Academy, which is GKM, MSG, and Colton Charles, as they take on the team of Skylar Mack, Yusufer Ale, and El Magnifico. I know.
I have some of the other matches up here if you want me to go through the other matches.
Save the two bigger matches for the end so I can showcase that one.
Okay. You want me to talk about the triple threat match?
Oh, thanks for reminding me. I'll tell about that one. From Catalyst Wrestling, a massive triple threat matchup as the All-Father, Mr. Darius Carter, takes on Colby Carino and some notorious guy named the Notorious 187 Homicide.
Yes.
What else? Okay, now you can tell the rest of the card, except for those last two.
You mentioned the pre-show match, right?
There's a few of them.
Well, the one I see here is actually, oh God, I'm laughing at one of the guys' names who's on this pre-show, the one I'm looking at.
What?
APW. It's Mike McCarthy.
Okay.
Take it on, and I kid you not, Steven Stenson.
Oh my God, I forgot that match is happening.
Trying to see the other matches here. The other match on the pre-show is for 3 Legacies Wrestling.
That's the one that Ricardo Rodriguez is announcing.
Yes, it looks like it's Smiley taking on Tarzan Duran, taking on Bu Keller. I have no idea who Bu Keller is.
He's more of like a Maryland, South Pennsylvania guy.
Gotcha. Trying to see here. Also on the card we'll have for Battle. I think it's Battlefield or Battlefield. Casey Navarro will be in action. Take it on Malik Del Vante.
I think he's one of the students.
You mentioned the 6-man for WrestlePro. I know the other match that's going to be happening is for the Immortal Championship Wrestling Women's title. Kayla Sparks defends her title against Veda Scott.
Oh, shit. I'm kidding.
And then, obviously, if you want to, I guess we can go, if you want to go in now to the 2 big matches of the night.
All right, so we're going to have 2 new champions crowned. First of all, in women's action, we have Rachel Ellering taking on Steph DeLander. And the winner of that will be crowned the inaugural Premier Women's Champion. And then the big money matchup itself, which is the main event. For the inaugural Premier Wrestling Heavyweight Championship or World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, it's the same thing, but yeah.
Okay. The Indie God himself, the Deathmatch King, the Michael Jordan of figure collecting, and yada yada yada, also known as Matt Cardona, apparently will be cashing in his Wrestling Showcase title for this opportunity, as he goes one-on-one against someone who he's very well known in being in the ring with, and happens to be a champion on his own with a little company called FWF. And that is the other indie god himself, known as Colt Boom Boom Cabana.
Yes.
I love the enthusiasm, John. Not really.
No, yes. It's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun because actually, I don't think I've actually seen Matt Cardona in a wrestling ring.
Oh well, I mean, folks, you're in for a big surprise. And if you like and if you haven't done so yet, subscribe. Subscribe to the Premier Streaming Network, possibly the best streaming service out there today. Fuck fight. Yeah, that's a shoot. Where you can see all Wrestle Pro. I think Creative Pro is coming on soon. Some sort of Invictus might be going on there too. Immortal Championship Wrestling is on there, and so on and so forth. You can watch previous events and also watch the events live. And that takes place this Saturday in Metuchen, New Jersey. It's the Wrestling Showcase at DOS.
We got another comment coming in here
Yes.
from her saying that it's way better than IWTV.
Yes.
But Ryan, like I said, guys, you can, if you're in the Metuchen area, and I don't think, correct me if I'm wrong here, they're doing a convention beforehand.
Thank you for reminding me. They're doing a little convention beforehand. I think it starts at 1 o'clock, I believe, 1 or 2 o'clock. I don't remember. But that's where you get to meet, Matt Cardona, Steph Delander, Rachel Ellering. And also the guys from Chop Studios will be there. Dave Sturcio, Chris Payne, and Josh Chernoff will be there as well. And if from what I'm hearing, again, it could be a rumor, some Prince might be there.
Really?
Possibly.
Okay.
But again, it could be a rumor.
I was going to say the guys you mentioned from Premiere, aren't they all like your number one fans?
Well, apparently so, because if you go on their Twitter page, X page, and the first pinned tag is the co-owner Freddie Prinze Jr. talking about the event. There's a little snippet of saying it is now time for your main event. That's my fucking voice. Where's my residual check? Where's my residual check, Freddie?
Talk to Josh.
No, I'll talk to Freddie on that one. Freddie, where's my residual check?
Actually, I want to see if I can clip that because there's a reason behind it, which I told you about offline.
Yes, you did. And we'll talk more. But yes. I think we're done for tonight.
Really? You don't want to talk about NWA, MLW, WCW?
MLW Sunday night. Jacob Fatu is no longer the openweight champion. Ricky Shane Page, RSP is. Hell of a match from what I saw. The top rope got loose, and apparently it was all a clusterfuck. All right.
WCW, ECW, AWA.
I'm sorry. Do we hop into a fucking time machine now?
No, I think it's safe to say we covered a lot tonight. I want to thank Marie ValDomiea.
We surrender in the name of France.
I want to thank Marie for joining us. She was a fantastic guest. Of course, you can see her in action next Saturday in New Jersey for Goddesses of War and for Titan as they present Blaze of Glory. So we got that coming up. Obviously, we had Totowa Tom came on. So who for some reason thought we were recording. But no, it was great having Totowa Tom on. And I think also, by the way, I think there's a rumor that there's a podcast that just got Front Row Mafia approved. Just saying.
Well, considering, supposedly from what he told me, apparently they hijacked your camera.
Yeah, probably.
Or it could have been literally based on my voice, just saying Totowa Tom, and the feed just goes black.
Subscribe to our new YouTube page because I might have forgotten to log in for the other one.
Great job. Wonderful. Who put this guy in charge? Wonderful.
Well, okay, would you prefer that I sit there and say, "Oh, we had it got"?
I'm sorry, coming from the guy who said on the Pete Rosado interview, I asked Ryan and he's too tired.
No, I forgot the login information. So we have a new YouTube page. We already had our Pete Rosado interview drop, Rich Reed interview drop, Adam Stone interview drop. The curtain call will be going up this week. I'll
believe it when I see it.
We also have a few other interviews being lined up this week as well, which include Kate Lothbrock, Joey Conway, Richie the Madman. That's all tomorrow, by the way. I know we have a few of the ladies who are going to be in the upcoming Creative Pro tournament coming on soon.
Hopefully one of them gets back to me.
So we have that coming up. We're also going to have a few specials coming up as well. We're going to have me doing a sing-along. I kid.
No. It's ATR karaoke. I'm going to bring out my banjo and start singing Kumbaya for 3 hours.
No, we're going to definitely have a lot.
My Lord, Kumbaya.
All right, that's our cue to get the hell out of here. Again, guys, you can find us on any social media account. Hit the subscribe button. It costs you nothing. It does wonders for us. Ryan, what do you got coming up that you like to promote?
Oh, Jesus fucking Christ. So I got the Wrestling Showcase on the 9th, Creative Pro on the 15th in Lynbrook, Wrestle Pro the 17th in Rahway, New Jersey, Invictus Pro Wrestling on September 29th. It's their 3-year anniversary show, which means, unfortunately, I will not be there in Totowa to see Rich Reed get manhandled by Maven. What else do I got? October 13th, Friday the 13th, that's still TBA. I can now officially confirm October 15th, I am back with Deadlock Pro Wrestling. October 22nd, it's Wrestle Pro once again in beautiful Rahway, New Jersey. I am trying to think off the top of my head. And I know November 26th, I think, that's Sunday, the Sunday after Thanksgiving, it's Wrestle Pro once again. And hopefully, if a certain individual who's on here, who's a promoter and listening, perhaps they can bring me up back upstate. Preferably either October 21st or maybe November 25th if they're doing it. Just saying. Number, you can call me.
Yeah. But again, guys, you can catch us. And also, guys, I said it before, I'll say it one more time. If you're a fan of coffee, and honestly, I don't know why you wouldn't be, I recommend giving this a try. Oh, wait, hold on.
John, stop calling it. Just tell people what it is. Just buy our fucking coffee.
Around the Ropes Coffee, brought to you by our friends over at Motor Oil Coffee, with several locations, including Albany, Schenectady, Troy.
I'm waiting for that bag to pop open every time you do that. Okay. Relax yourself, youngin.
But again, guys, for Ryan Peterson, who's one of the best goddamn ring announcers out there, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Stop.
Who will be on the Wrestling Showcase this coming Saturday, and still will not take a bump.
You don't have to pay that.
Again, guys, this has been Around the Ropes Podcast episode live from the Rex Express Studios, as you can see right over my shoulder.
Oh, wait, hold on. Someone commented.
It's actually our guest.
Oh, he wants coffee.
Don't worry, Tom. Next time I see you, you will get a bag.
$10.
No, for him, no.
All right, 5.
Well, because also I'll talk about it afterwards.
Yeah. It's fine.
But again, guys, for Ryan, I'm John. This has been the Around the Ropes Podcast episode. Again, brought to you in the studios of the Rex Express Studios, as you can see right over my shoulder. I will just admit quickly that was courtesy of my sister. I know it looks like a 6-year-old drew it, but it actually is very touchy.
God, just get...
Stay locked in for all of our latest videos. See you guys next week.
Whee!